Chapter 858. At this moment, on the crowded square of the Pearl Divers Port, Han Fei and the others were all looking at Jiang Tong with a smile, which made his blood freeze. Gudu, Jiang Tong swallowed and said, "Well, I'm actually here for the auction." Han Fei was about to speak when Luo Xiaobai suddenly said, "That explains a lot. Han Fei, we're busy. Let's not catch up yet, shall we?" Han Fei was slightly surprised too, as were Lu Rinquang and Zhang Xuanyu. That wasn't Luo Xiaobai's style. Hearing Luo Xiaobai's words, Jiang Tong also said, "Well, Brother Han, let's talk later." Han Fei patted his shoulder with a smile. "Okay, I don't have time to chat with you today. See you later." A moment later, seeing that Han Fei and the others flew away on the boat, Jiang Tong took a long breath in relief and turned around. He did not go to the registration hall of the Pearl Divers Port Hall. On a regular boat on the surface of the sea, Han Fei and Lu Rinquang asked almost at the same time, "What did you find?" Luo Xiaobai asked, "Is there something wrong with the guy just now? I remember that I met him somewhere." Lu Rinquang scratched his belly. "You don't remember?" At this moment, Han Fei's face slightly changed too. "There's something wrong with this guy. The first time I met him was outside of the undersea city in the level 3 fishery. At that time, he was rather mediocre. Although he was a heavenly talent, he felt that he was too weak. Later, I met him once in the Wind Thunder Town. Jiang Tong must have been quite strong at that time. The third time was in the Heavenly Human Canyon." Luo Xiaobai nodded. "Yes, I met him in the battle in the Heavenly Human Canyon. Normally speaking, it's not a problem for him to advance into a hidden fissure. However, I sensed a slight threat just now." Zhang Xuanyu and Lu Rinquang, however, were slightly surprised. Jiang Tong couldn't have made Luo Xiaobai feel threatened unless he was hiding a lot of his strength. Han Fei thought to himself that he didn't feel threatened at all, but he did some calculations just now. What he wanted to know was whether or not he would meet Jiang Tong in the future. In the end, it turned out to be nothing. There was not even the slightest bit of room for prediction. Then, something was wrong. He couldn't even calculate that. Zhang Xuanyu clapped his hands. "Anyway, something is wrong with this guy. Moreover, we just saw that there are no auctions in the near future." Lu Rinquang nodded quickly. "Yes, we can guard against him. What if he has the same goal as us?" Luo Xiaobai said casually, "The Pearl Divers Port is small, but it has a lot of business here. Perhaps this person has other matters to attend to." Han Fei smiled. "It doesn't matter. We have 20 days anyway. In the past, my daughter had remembered his scent. Just now I slapped him once, and he was punished again." With that said, Han Fei's eyebrows flashed, and he said to Little White, "Smell that guy just now. Once he is more than 100 kilometers away, chase after him." Lu Rinquang suddenly said, "If we're waiting for him, why don't we make a hot pot?" After half a day, Luo Xiaobai frowned. This was the 100th time someone had scanned them with their perception. He had to admit that he had traveled hundreds of thousands of kilometers and spent 400,000 high-quality pearls. In the end, the four of them were eating hot pot on the ship, which was a little ridiculous. Only Lu Rinquang was eating happily. At this moment, he slurped a huge piece of fish and asked, "Are you all not going to eat?" Zhang Xuanyu said angrily, "Just eat, fatty." Luo Xiaobai said, "I've eaten too much. I'm a light eater right now." Han Fei picked up a huge piece of fish and put it into his mouth. Sometimes he counted his fingers. Suddenly, Little White moved. It popped its head out of the water and swam in one direction. Zhang Xuanyu's eyes flashed. "I'll control the boat," Luo Xiaobai said. "He finally went to sea in less than 6 hours. It means that whatever it is, his target must be at sea." Han Fei smiled. "Who cares? If it's related to treasure troves, it'll be a coincidence. If it's not, we'll just pretend that we ran into each other again." About an hour later, a figure finally appeared in Han Fei's perception. "Stop!" Han Fei suddenly stopped him. Very soon, Han Fei discovered that Jiang Tong was not alone. There were 2 pearl divers in the water. Also, to Han Fei's surprise, he saw 4 clusters of blue and purple flames in the water. Is it a coincidence? Luo Xiaobai looked at Han Fei curiously. "What's wrong?" I can't sense them. Han Fei said, 50 kilometers away. Zhang Xuanyu exclaimed. Han Fei, your perception range has reached 50 kilometers? Han Fei thought to himself, I'm afraid that you'll be scared if I tell you. Han Fei said casually, I found those blue and purple flames. Luo Xiaobai asked in surprise, You found them so easily? Luo Xiaobai was stunned for a moment. A coincidence? Wait, what else did you find? Han Fei's lips curled. Jiang Tong, 2 pearl divers. Lu Yi and Wang Qian used to work in the Guild of Fishers. They often fished near the sea. Due to an accident, they were attacked by inferior manfish. 8 members of a 10-person team were killed, and only the 2 of them were left. Although they were still alive, they were heavily wounded. One of Lu Ye's arms was gone, and half of Wang Qian's foot was cut off. Lu Yi said telepathically, Old Wang, we've collected 800 pearls today. In the past, we could have collected 1,000 pearls in such a long time, right? Wang Qian smiled. Yes, I've only collected 200 high-quality pearls and more than 200 low-quality pearls. Forget it, I'm still short of 50. Let's have a drink after I collect 800. Lu Yi was amused. Great minds think alike. Just as the 2 of them finished speaking, they suddenly heard a few gurgle sounds. They thought that it was a big bubble floating to the surface of the water. Lu Yi subconsciously raised his head. Hey, Old Wang, purple flames. Wang Qian quickly jumped over a few coral reefs and found 4 clusters of purple flames floating dozens of meters away. Lu Yi was holding the coral and looking up. Wang Qian asked in surprise, The quake happened a long time ago. Why are there still purple flames? Lu Yi said with a smile, I don't know. Look at the 4 clusters. They're lined up neatly. Where are they going? Wang Qian snorted. I don't know. Just follow them for a while. Let's pick pearls and look around. Logically speaking, it should dissipate in a while. Lu Yi collected another 2 high-quality pearls and put them away. Okay, let's watch for a while. About half an hour later, Wang Qian said, I've collected 800 pearls. Forget it. I don't want to do this anymore. Let's go have a drink. Lu Yi asked curiously, Old Wang, why do you think the purple flames haven't disappeared yet? Wang Qian swam to it. Why should I care about it? I'll slap it out. As he spoke, Wang Qian slapped a cluster of purple flames. Wang Qian seemed to be frozen after the slap, and his eyes became glazed. Lu Yi chuckled. Keep pretending. You think I've never slapped one before? I've even put my hand in it before. While speaking, Lu Yi also swam over with a swish. He smiled and pushed Wang Qian. However, in the next second, he saw a ball of purple flames suddenly reflected in his eyes. Han Fei saw this scene clearly from a distance. In the next moment, he saw those balls of purple fire extinguish with a puff. Jiang Tong, on the other hand, jumped off the boat and swam to them. When Jiang Tong swam to them, he took out a pearl and showed it to them. Then, the 2 of them regained their senses. As for Jiang Tong, he simply controlled the boat to fly away after he boarded. Luo Xiaobai asked, What's going on? Should we chase him? Han Fei suddenly said. Jiang Tong ran away. Zhang Xuanyu turned around and was about to chase him on the boat. Han Fei said in a hurry, No, wait. I found something. Luo Xiaobai looked at Han Fei in confusion. What's wrong? Han Fei thought for a moment. Let's go to the sea. I'll set up a stealth array and a breath-concealing array on you. Let's not chase Jiang Tong, but the pearl divers. The pearl divers. Luo Xiaobai was briefly stunned, but she nodded. Han Fei had his reasons to chase the pearl divers. In the Sea of Pearls, although there were frequent patrols, they weren't very strong. Those people would send out alarms when they found a dangerous target. However, Han Fei's temporary pass hadn't expired, and he had hidden himself, so few people paid attention to him. Besides, the slightly stronger people were also at the edge of the Sea of Pearls. In the Sea of Pearls, few experts would spend a long time perceiving them. A moment later, when Han Fei was only a few hundred meters away from the 2 pearl divers, Luo Xiaobai asked in surprise, Is there something wrong with them? Lu Renquan was also confused. They're just regular pearl divers. Zhang Xuanyu said lazily, Han Fei, I believe you. There's definitely something wrong with them. Han Fei tilted his head and looked at him. Why are you so sure? Zhang Xuanyu said. It's because I trust my brother. Han Fei rolled his eyes. However, he still told the two of them about what he had just seen. After hearing it, Zhang Xuanyu asked in surprise, Didn't you say that the fire wouldn't hurt anyone? Han Fei sneered. It won't hurt anyone, but it can make them lost. Luo Xiaobai shook her head. That's not right. If the purple fire can make people lost, what was the meaning of the pearl that Jiang Tong showed them? Han Fei speculated. That's why I want to follow them instead of Jiang Tong. I estimate that the purple fire is only temporary. Many people may be lost, but they'll recover very soon. Naturally, they won't think that there's anything wrong with the purple fire. But what if they're completely lost? Han Fei suddenly looked at Zhang Xuanyu and said, Do you remember the blue fish in the abyssal chasm? Zhang Xuanyu's eyelids shivered, and he said solemnly, Are you saying that the pearl in Jiang Tong's hand can make people completely lost? Luo Xiaobai added, Is Jiang Tong lost himself too? Chapter 859. Luo Xiaobai's question piqued Han Fei's curiosity. That's right. The two of them must have been bewitched, but they were still picking pearls. Although the frequency of their harvesting had decreased, their behavior did not arouse any suspicions. However, Han Fei heard their conversation just now, so Han Fei couldn't help but be suspicious. At this moment, Han Fei couldn't help but say, Keep following me. I'll pretend to be someone else and greet them. Han Fei thought to himself, I'm really lucky to run into an acquaintance the moment I arrived at the Pearl Diver's port. As it happened, there was something wrong with the acquaintance, and the problem happened to be related to the purpose of his trip. A moment later, Han Fei changed his clothes and face and blocked Wang Qian and Lu Ye's way, as if he were searching for something. Very soon, the two of them had picked pearls all the way here. When they saw Han Fei, they were stunned for a moment and then tried to avoid him. After all, Han Fei's identity as a slaughterer made them very nervous. Seeing them, Han Fei's lips curled. Why didn't they use their senses? If they had sensed him earlier, they would have avoided him sooner. Why did they not avoid him until they were dozens of meters away? Han Fei couldn't help but ask them telepathically, Hey, have you heard of anyone collecting black pearls around here? Lu Yi replied, Sir, I've never heard of it. Wang Qian was slightly stunned too. Then, he shook his head and said no. Han Fei pretended to nod and ignored the two of them, swimming in another direction. After Han Fei swam 30 kilometers away, Lu Yi and Wang Qian began to speed up. A moment later, Han Fei returned to Luo Xiaobai and Lu Yi and said clearly, These two people have been bewitched. If they hadn't activated their senses, I would have thought that they might have been possessed. Luo Xiaobai asked, Are you so sure? Han Fei said with a smile, Very sure. Although they haven't been possessed, they must have been manipulated. If my guess is correct, it must have been Jiang Tong. Lu Renquang suggested, Then why don't we just capture Jiang Tong and ask him, What are we waiting for? Zhang Xuanyu scoffed. Idiot, Jiang Tong is not an idiot. Why would he tell you his secrets? Do you have a fish brain? Luo Xiaobai frowned and said, Something's not right. What a coincidence. We ran into Jiang Tong as soon as we arrived at the Pearl Diver's port. You happen to know him, and he happens to be related to this purple flame? Han Fei scratched his head. I've thought about that too, but I don't understand. Luo Xiaobai said, Be careful anyway. I keep feeling that something is amiss. Lu Renquang asked, Then should we go back? Zhang Xuanyu smiled casually and said, Go back. If the four of us can't even defeat Jiang Tong, then we can forget about finding the secret of the Sea of Pearls. Han Fei agreed. Whether there's a problem or not, let's follow them and take a look. There are tens of millions of mystic realms and countless villains. If we are overcautious and indecisive when encountering something, what's the point of exploring? The few of them discussed and continued to follow. During this time, there were at least a few dozen senses that swept over Lu Yi and Wang Qian. However, the two of them were just pure pearl divers at the moment, so no one felt that they were special. Han Fei and the others had to be careful all the time. Whenever Han Fei sensed the presence of others, he would pause the tracking. He wouldn't continue until other people passed by. Han Fei couldn't help but feel that it would have been great if the hexagon starfish were here. That guy could have easily led them to follow them. They followed and stopped for about 10 hours. When the moon was high in the sky and the stars were everywhere, many pearl divers had returned to the pearl divers port. Lu Yi and Wang Qian suddenly stopped. The two of them simply crouched in the coral reef in a daze. Wait! Gently, there seemed to be a faintly discernible melody suddenly rippling in this dark sea region. Han Fei looked at everybody. Did you hear anything? Zhang Xuanyu asked in surprise. Are you hallucinating? Luren Kuang shook his head. No, it's very quiet. There's no sound at all. Luo Xiaobai looked at Han Fei in confusion. Although I didn't hear anything, those two people seemed to have stopped. Chilla. Bam. 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 All of a sudden, thousands of purple flames popped up out of nowhere. Han Fei's face changed greatly. Not good. It's an ambush. The moment the purple flames appeared, Luo Xiaobai had tied their waist with vines in case of any accidents, so that they could be ready for battle at any time. The purple flames died out in the blink of an eye. An invisible barrier enshrouded Han Fei and the others. Han Fei and the others didn't move at all. However, when the purple flames were gone, they had left the sea of pearls and appeared in an unknown place. Why were they so sure? It was because they found themselves in an enormous cave. What was visible to the naked eye was that the walls of the cave were full of blue and silver stars, as if they had come to the habitat of fireflies. It was very humid here, but there was only a little water and air to breathe. Han Fei even felt that the light here was too dreamy, like the infinite luminous seaweeds in the 10,000 Demon Valley. However, the only color in this place was blue. In the darkness, there was a kind of breathtaking beauty. Han Fei asked solemnly, "Do you know how you got here?" Luo Xiaobai shook her head. "I don't know. It seems to be some sort of teleportation array. Also, perception doesn't work here. I think we found the secret of the Sea of Pearls." Zhang Xuanyu remarked, "It's true that we can't perceive it. However, the scenery here isn't bad." Han Fei sneered. "The more beautiful a person is, the greater unknown horrors are often hidden beneath. Also, our journey was too smooth. It seems that someone intentionally lured us here." Luren Kuang's face shivered. "Jiang Tong, didn't you recognize him?" Luo Xiaobai's eyes were cold. "The blue spots of light around are cocoons. Don't alarm them yet. Let's just walk along the road." After all, the two people just now were also surrounded by the purple flames, but we didn't see them. Luren Kuang shivered and said, "I hate bugs the most." Han Fei said, "Why are you panicking? The bugs aren't a problem, but the secret here is. The pearl divers probably went missing just like that. If we hadn't noticed Jiang Tong's anomaly at the beginning, we wouldn't have suspected anything even if we found the two bewildered guys on the way." The cave was winding and not small at all. After walking for about 3,000 meters, Han Fei and the others all gasped at a corner. "Hiss! Gudu!" Luren Kuang gasped and said, "I don't think I can use the sky swallowing technique here." Han Fei felt that his blood was freezing. Thousands of corpses were hanging on the ceiling of the cave in front of them. Looking at the commonly seen broken arms and limbs, everybody knew that they were all pearl divers. The bodies of these pearl divers were covered in pearls. However, the pearls were emitting a faint blue light, which made them look particularly eerie and terrifying. Zhang Xuanyu said in a low voice, "So many pearl divers died here? Nobody noticed them at all?" Luo Xiaobai frowned hard. "That's not right. Some of the bodies are completely dry, and some don't have any flesh. It's obvious that these pearl divers have been accumulating for God knows how many years to accumulate so many pearls." Lu Rinquang pointed at the two pearl divers at the front and said, "Look, they're the two we followed." Han Fei and the others naturally noticed them. The two of them were now hanging from the ceiling of the cave, suspended by something that looked like spider silk. Around them were blue-silver pupae that were moving towards the two of them. Han Fei said casually, "Their spiritual energy has completely dissipated. They're already dead." Luo Xiaobai said, "It seems that the Sea of Pearls is more dangerous than we thought. Let's keep moving forward." Han Fei nodded and glanced at Luren Kuang. Fat people are meaty. Insects like them. Luren Kuang rolled his eyes at Han Fei and panicked. He wasn't scared of fighting, but he was scared of the horrifying scenes. It looked beautiful, but when you saw thousands of corpses hanging on the ceiling, you wouldn't find it beautiful anymore. You would only feel creeped out. The four of them walked for about 10 kilometers before they finally passed the passage where the corpses were hanging. Who? Zhang Xuanyu was relieved. It's quite stressful to have so many people hanging above our heads all the time. Han Fei said with a casual smile. Now, there's even greater pressure. Luo Xiaobai said, prepare for battle. The insects are coming. Around the cave, a large area of blue and silver cocoons began to crack. Droplets of blue liquid dripped out of the pupae. Chilla. When the blue water dripped in midair, it suddenly turned into a bluish-purple flame. Wasn't it exactly the purple fire in the Sea of Pearls? Luren Kuang shrieked. Are they insects or flames? Han Fei was also thinking. He didn't see any information about the purple fire when he saw it earlier. At this moment, Han Fei said, I'll take a look. Don't move. Luo Xiaobai said, be careful. Han Fei grinned. Can a few flames and a few insects really turn the world upside down? Han Fei strode forward quickly, and seawater floated up from the ground and followed Han Fei. Han Fei used the metamorphosis water and turned it into palm-sized daggers. More and more of them appeared, and in the end, they were densely packed behind him. Whenever he sensed something wrong, he would sweep away the purple fire first. Third, asking for votes. End of this chapter. Chapter 860. Welcoming the new leader's name, 123. Han Fei strode forward and didn't stop until he was 30 meters away from the purple flames. There was no information in his eyes. However, Han Fei did find something wrong. He felt that his eyes were blurred, and some power seemed to be trying to control his mind. Han Fei immediately took out a peppermint leaf and stuffed it into his mouth. Immediately, Han Fei's head was clear. He thought to himself, the peppermint leaf is really useful. The feeling of being in a trance just now disappeared in an instant. Han Fei extended a finger, and a void line hooked at one of the purple flames. Wait for me. At that moment, Han Fei clearly heard a gentlewoman singing. Her voice was as pleasant as the sound of nature. Han Fei immediately recalled the void lines and walked to the rock wall not far away. Luren Kuang shouted from behind, Han Fei, take it easy. Don't get too close. Han Fei ignored him. It wasn't until this moment that information appeared in his eyes. Name, Charming Cocoon, Introduction. The evil clam girl absorbs the essence of the sun and the moon and infects the souls of the dead with her song. She turns into a charming cocoon to confuse pearl divers. Once infected by the charming cocoon, she will gradually lose herself. Note, the evil devours souls and will slowly recover. Clam girl. Han Fei's eyes slightly constricted. He returned to Luo Xiaobai and the others and quickly took out a handful of peppermint leaves. Everyone, keep one in your mouth. If you feel absent-minded, keep a few more in your mouth. Luo Xiaobai asked in confusion, what's this? Han Fei explained, the leaves of the wisteria, white vanilla. They can make your mind clearer. You won't be confused if you keep them in your mouth. Zhang Xuanyu shook his head and quickly grabbed 2 leaves, stuffing them into his mouth. He gasped and said, no wonder I was absent-minded. I almost yawned just now. Luren Kuang, who had been highly nervous, was fine. However, he also quickly picked the peppermint leaves and stuffed them into his mouth. Luo Xiaobai looked at Han Fei with a leaf in her mouth. Are you saying that the cocoon can confuse people? Zhang Xuanyu asked in surprise. Then what do we do? More and more cocoons have been broken. Balls of purple flames appear one after another. If they pounce on us later, won't we all be bewitched? Luren Kuang swallowed and asked, will we be hung on the ceiling too? Voila! Han Fei suddenly unfolded the phantom glass wings. He flapped his wings, and a gust of wind swept out, trying to blow away the purple flames. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief when when they saw the purple flames being blown away. Luren Kwong was relieved. So it can be blown? Then let's blow it all the way. Han Fei said, Actually, is there a simpler way? Luo Xiaobai nodded. Yes. Zhang Xuanyu asked, What is it? Han Fei looked at Luren Kwong maliciously and said, Let Luren Kwong swallow the purple flames and the cocoons. Hiss. I won't do it. I definitely won't do it. Luren Kwong had goosebumps. Are you kidding me? You want me to swallow such a disgusting thing? Han Fei sneered. Why are you panicking? After all, using the wind to blow on it would not solve the root of the problem. However, if it is swallowed by you, it will be completely swallowed into the unknown. The purple flames, after losing the connection with this cave, will dissipate in a moment. What are you afraid of? Luren Kwong closed his mouth tightly. I don't eat this. I'm a picky eater. Han Fei didn't say anything more and said lightly, Let's keep moving forward. By the way, if you hear a woman singing, remember to tell me. Luo Xiaobai suddenly looked at Han Fei. Did you hear something? Han Fei casually made up an excuse. There was a voice just now, trying to bewitch me. Fortunately, I reacted quickly. Immediately, they were all alarmed. Han Fei was the only one who heard it. They were all blocked out, which was terrifying. Luo Xiaobai said, Okay, Luren Kwong, remember to use the sky swallowing technique. Luren Kwong's face turned pale. I like eating, but I don't like eating bugs. Immediately, he shook his head like a rattle. The flesh on his face was shaking. Han Fei and the others ignored Luren Kwong and continued to walk forward. Every once in a while, Han Fei flapped his wings. Although the phantom glass wings didn't have the ability to set off violent gales, they could still set off strong gales. Soon, after walking for less than a kilometer, the number of purple flames and pupae that were being fanned into the depths of the forest increased. Countless charm cocoons were broken one after another. At this moment, the entire cave was filled with purple flames. Ah, clatter, clatter, Zhang Xuanyu suddenly said sounds. Luo Xiaobai immediately controlled the vines and wrapped them with another vine. Ooh! A gust of wind rolled up, but the purple flames retreated dozens of meters. Immediately afterward, they pounced on them again, like pervasive smoke that couldn't be blown away. Han Fei's face changed slightly. Kwong Kwong, now is the time. Swallow. I don't. As soon as Luren Kwong shouted, he was dragged forward by the vines. He shouted, I don't eat bugs. Great sky swallowing technique. A huge black hole appeared, and endless purple flames and charm cocoons frantically swept into the big black hole that Luren Kwong opened. TSK, TSK, TSK. What a super high-powered range hood. Everyone. Clatter. The sound became louder and louder, as if trying to confuse Luren Kwong. Han Fei shouted, Zhang Xuanyu, attack the purple flames with your soul. Zhang Xuanyu grinned. Soul explosion. The cave was trembling, and the purple flames were jumping wildly. Puff! Zhang Xuanyu's nose was spurting blood. However, Luren Kwong's sky swallowing technique became more and more violent, and the purple flames were swallowed by him like a tornado. With a harsh scream, Han Fei held the golden seal in his hand and slapped it in the air, and the big seal directly sank into the purple flames. There seemed to be a dragon roar echoing. This was the only means of attack that Han Fei could use to shock the soul. Although he wasn't proficient in it, he could resist it for a while. Luo Xiaobai and Zhang Xuanyu hurriedly stuffed a few peppermint leaves into their mouths. Even Han Fei was in a trance and almost lost control. As for Luren Kwong, there was a soul barrier outside his body, which was Zhang Xuanyu's method. This guy used his soul power to protect Luren Kwong. After more than 10 minutes, the purple flames gradually disappeared. The sky swallowing technique disappeared, and Luren Kwong retched again and again, saying, Fortunately, I didn't eat it, or I would have been disgusted. Han Fei spat out the peppermint leaves in his mouth and took out a large handful. Take a handful each. We may have to eat more later. Luo Xiaobai said, The key to the danger is not these cocoons and purple flames, but that voice. There is someone deep in the cave. Han Fei nodded. Let's go. They walked all the way, and after about 5,000 meters, Lurin Quang swallowed the purple flames again. Since then, the owner of the voice seemed to have found that the purple flames were useless and never appeared again. Luo Xiaobai said, "The cave is getting wider and wider. Be careful." After a while, Zhang Xuanyu wondered, have we entered the gravity field? Han Fei vaguely felt something was wrong. He could always feel that the pressure on his body was getting heavier and heavier. But this was definitely not the gravity field. It seemed that there was an invisible force pulling him. Fuse. Luo Xiaobai and the others couldn't help but look at him when they heard Han Fei's words. Han Fei's face suddenly became indifferent. In his black and white pupils, Han Fei saw dense, invisible threads hanging on him and the others. F***, I knew something was wrong. Swish, swish, swish. The infinity water turned into invisible water knives, waving and slashing crazily around them. When they saw it, they immediately realized that there was something in the nothingness that forced Han Fei to cut it apart. However, to everyone's surprise, after Han Fei switched to the Yin-Yang Divine Eyes, the power seemed to be very strange. For some reason, the knives slashed out by the infinity water seemed to be a little black and white. After the infinity water slashed, the pressure on everyone was relieved. Han Fei said indifferently, "Let's go, keep moving forward." After walking for less than 800 meters, Han Fei and the others suddenly saw the light. This was a large cave with a radius of less than 500 meters, and above it was a cylindrical cavity up to a kilometer high. On the surrounding rock walls, there were dense charm chrysalises. Lurin Quang gasped, "How long will it take to swallow them?" And in the center of the cave, the most eye-catching thing was a huge clamshell nearly 100 meters long. The clamshell was open, and a gentle woman with half-exposed clothes was sitting curled up inside, looking at the four of them with a smile. In the clamshell, there were all kinds of pearls. There were high-quality pearls, ultra-quality pearls, black pearls, and colorful pearls. And in front of the clamshell stood a person. It was none other than Jiang Tong. However, at this moment, Jiang Tong seemed to not know Han Fei and the others and looked a little dull. From Han Fei's Yin-Yang Divine Eyes, he saw that Jiang Tong's body was entangled with those thin, imperceptible threads. Clam girl. Luo Xiaobai frowned. It's rumored that there are records of clam girls, but they are very vague. However, clam girls seem to be a very gentle, intelligent race of the sea. But this one, Han Fei said indifferently, this one is evil. Jiang Tong has been controlled. However, he is not important. Zhang Xuanyu, you deal with him. Remember to put some leaves in your mouth. Don't be confused by the pearl in his hand. Zhang Xuanyu licked his lips and said, "Okay." Luo Xiaobai took the initiative to say, "Quang Quang, these chrysalises are yours." Lurin Quang said with a sad face, "Okay, okay." The woman in the clamshell said, "You can only blame yourself for noticing that something was wrong with him. Otherwise, I wouldn't have provoked you." Han Fei sneered. "So, you asked him to deliberately lead us here?" As Han Fei spoke, he walked forward step by step. Luo Xiaobai frowned and wrapped her vines around Han Fei. At the same time, all kinds of vines began to emerge everywhere in the entire cave. Dark blue flower buds appeared between the vine leaves, waiting to bloom. Chapter 861. Han Fei ventured forward because he wanted to see how strong the clam girl was. Or was the muscle still alive? However, what he saw made Han Fei's blood freeze. Information popped up in his head. Name Enchanting Muscle Demon. Introduction. In ancient times, a clam girl with a special bloodline perished. She regained her consciousness by absorbing the remaining souls in the sea. For some reason, she mutated into an enchanting muscle demon. She can control the mystic yin lines and bewilder creatures. If she is controlled for a long time, she will be forced to sign a master-servant contract with her. Level 62, Spiritual Energy, 24520, Demon Heritage, Level 7, mid-quality, level, sea spirit, law enforcer, enchanting, companion spirit, star shell, unabsorbable. Note, the star shell can establish a mysterious independent space. It will be worn away in the star shell until it becomes a glittering pearl. Han Fei's blood froze. A sea spirit expert was definitely not a timid creature like the wind sky wings, but a real sea spirit expert. Also, Han Fei looked at the enormous shell. Although it was covered in dirt, he could still tell that the shell was heavy. Some parts of the shell even had the color of jade. Han Fei didn't dare to cancel his yin-yang divine eyes, because he suspected that the muscle was the star shell. Rather horrified, Han Fei sensed that his strength had been weakened by about 10%. Han Fei immediately roared, "Cover yourselves with spiritual energy. Also, this space is eating away at our strength." Then, Han Fei looked at the clam demon and said, "You've only just become a sea spirit. Are you sure you want to fight us?" Luo Xiaobai and the others all changed their expressions when Han Fei mentioned the sea spirit. A sea spirit expert. In their eyes, it was equivalent to a law enforcer. Luo Xiaobai immediately reminded him, "Han Fei, sea spirits usually have some special talent abilities. How did you find out? Your eyes?" The clam girl smiled faintly. Her words were like a faintly discernible melody that could move one's soul. Han Fei stepped back and looked at the clam girl. "If you don't open this space in 3 seconds, we'll kill you." While Han Fei spoke, he tried to extend the void lines into the shell. The smile on the clam girl's face suddenly froze, and her clamshell immediately closed. At that moment, she did not know why, but she felt fear. Seeing the clam girl's reaction, Han Fei knew that the void lines made her feel a sense of crisis. "Do it." Without a word, Han Fei crushed a jade slip in his hand. That was the ancient seal given by Mu Jia. Han Fei hadn't used it yet. At that moment, a terrifying pillar of fire shot towards the clam girl. Creak, clang, the echo lingered in the empty valley. The strike of this peak-level hidden fissure was easily resisted by the clamshell. Almost at the same time, all the cocoons of confusion in the cave split open. Streaks of seemingly solid purple flames whistled down. Some of the pupae didn't turn into purple flames, but turned into wriggling blue and purple bugs that clung to the wall, as if they were guarding against Lu Renquang's sky swallowing technique. Violent war body. Majestic mystic spell. Lu Renquang's skin turned red, and his body seemed to be on fire. Faced with a sea spirit, he, as a peak-level hanging fisher, didn't dare to be careless. Divine turtle shield, infinite defense. This was the power that Lu Renquang obtained from the mysterious old turtle in the level 3 fishery. It had a strong defense power and covered him. Why did Lu Renquang only protect himself? Because everyone had their own mission. What he needed to do was to block these cocoons of confusion. Grand sky swallowing technique. Countless purple flames and many insects that were stuck to the walls of the cave were sucked out and swallowed by a huge, pitch-black mouth. Zhang Xuanyu's soul was strong. He roared, "Fuse!" In a bloody shadow, a ferocious shark disappeared into Zhang Xuanyu's body. At this moment, his spiritual energy was dyed red, and his eyes were bloodshot as he charged at Jiang Tong. Jiang Tong's eyes lit up. 2 long knives appeared in his hands, and a blood-red shell appeared. Not only did it condense into a blood-red armor on his body, but it also doubled his combat power. Momentary time. Zhang Xuanyu naturally used the majestic mystic spell too. Facing someone controlled by a sea spirit, he didn't dare to be careless. Since Jiang Tong had been bewitched, he must have become a simple puppet. Luo Xiaobai looked around. Lu Renquang's attraction power was terrifying, but not all the bugs that looked like colloids were absorbed. Some of them even crawled down the wall. Luo Xiaobai looked at Han Fei. "You take care of the clam demon. We can't attack her until her shell is broken." As she talked, Luo Xiaobai's pupils turned white, and weird flowers blossomed. A colorful mist spread out in the cave. Han Fei looked hideous, and a tall, brawny man appeared next to him. A blue soul fire was split from Han Fei and entered the Overlord's body. Shua, 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 clang. Clang! Clang! Snowmorn's terrifying power landed on the star's shell, and the domineering and powerful attack directly shattered the filth that covered the star shell. In an instant, a large jade-colored shell appeared, and Frostmourne left white marks on it. Ah! A scream came from the star shell. How can you have a sea-quelling bizarre treasure? Han Fei sneered. What's wrong with a sea-quelling bizarre treasure? You're just a sea spirit that can only bewitch other people. You dare not fight me head-on, so you could die now? Dumb. Dumb. Inside the star shell, the clam girl seemed to be playing a weird melody that echoed in the air. Zhang Xuanyu, who had just pierced Jiang Tong's stomach with his spear, staggered and began to spin, as if he were caught in an illusion. Lu Renquang's eyes were blurred too, and the great sky swallowing technique seemed to be collapsing at any moment. Luo Xiaobai, on the other hand, vomited a mouthful of blood. She had no advantage in the battle here. Obviously, the jade-like shell was not something that she could break with her attack power. At this moment, she felt that she was about to be caught in an illusion too. In the last moment, she saw Zhang Xuanyu waving his spear and stabbing at Han Fei, only to be pulled away by her. Han Fei's face changed greatly, and his head was clouded. Everything he saw seemed to be overlapping. However, the Yin-Yang divine eyes seemed to have the effect of restraining illusions too, so he flapped his wings and appeared 100 meters away. A crimson fist mark smashed at Jiang Tong, who was slashing at Zhang Xuanyu with a weird long knife. Boom! Jiang Tong was only being controlled, but it didn't mean that his strength had been improved to an incredible level. Even a hidden fisher would be killed by Han Fei's punch without the terrifying defense of the star shell if he didn't have the Overlord's technique. After so many days of fighting, Han Fei's strength had already exceeded 2 million kilograms. Plus the Overlord's technique, it was equivalent to more than 16 million kilograms, or almost 8,000 tons. Usually, when they were sparring, it would be fine if they hit it. But now, at the critical moment of life and death, Jiang Tong was almost crushed by Han Fei in the blink of an eye. A terrifying force landed on the star shell, causing it to flip several times on the ground. In the end, it hit the rock wall heavily with a BAM. Even the rock wall began to crack, and the rocks above fell one after another. Han Fei opened his mouth and fed himself a cluster of candle dragon blood. Although the candle dragon blood could only be used 5 times, Han Fei didn't care at all. Even if he didn't have the candle dragon blood, he still had the energy fruits. The melodious music came to an abrupt end. Han Fei was confident that even if the star shell was above level 60, it wouldn't be able to survive his sacrificing punch. Zhang Xuanyu and Lu Renquang were both stunned. Zhang Xuanyu asked in shock, "What did I do just now?" Luo Xiaobai breathed heavily and said, "Lu Renquang, keep swallowing." Lu Renquang nodded and performed the sky swallowing technique again. He looked at the rock wall that was full of cracks and was rather shocked by Han Fei. How much strength did Han Fei use to create such terrifying damage? Seizing the opportunity, Han Fei quickly stuffed an ultra-quality demonic stone into the Overlord's body. Under the Overlord's continuous slashes, the star shell had been resisting the terrifying attacks. However, the Overlord's battery ran out after only 20 slashes, and he had to replace it. Luo Xiaobai didn't let go of the opportunity. The cave had been covered by all kinds of plants. The moment Han Fei bombarded the star shell, it slightly opened its mouth. Seizing the opportunity, Luo Xiaobai simply stuffed vines into it. It was a pity that the star shell closed after only a few vines were inserted into it. At this moment, Luo Xiaobai pointed her finger. Deep blue, poison explosion. The clam girl's voice echoed in the cave. I didn't expect that a junior hidden fisher could have more than one wave of power. However, you can't break the shell. You'll only be waiting to die if you stay here. Han Fei sneered. Let's see. Han Fei suddenly flew to the sky and activated the agility of wind. He ran as fast as lightning in midair. He was accumulating his strength. Han Fei was like a bolt of lightning. With the agility of wind, which was 3 times the normal speed, Han Fei estimated that even Yi Baiyu would be amazed by his speed. Hide in Lu Renquang's shield. Luo Xiaobai reacted quickly and dragged Zhang Xuanyu into the black turtle shield. In the next second, scorching sparks were raised in the air due to the friction. Boom! He performed the sacrificing punch with terrifying strength and unparalleled speed. Rumble! The rock wall collapsed and was instantly shattered. Han Fei punched the star shell dozens of meters into the mountain. Crack! Hearing the cracking noises from the star shell, the void chains hooked him, and he retreated while he drank another mouthful of candle dragon blood. At this moment, his arm was already dripping with blood. Craziness beamed out of Han Fei's eyes, and he pulled the star shell out. Hee, you're just a clam girl. Although you're good at hypnotizing me, I'll kill you if you can't hypnotize me. I'm begging for votes. End of this chapter. Chapter 862. Han Fei tried to hook the soul of the star shell with the void lines. However, the void lines failed. They couldn't catch it at all, as if this giant clamshell didn't have a soul. Is it inside the clamshell? Dumb, dumb, dumb. Right at this moment, an earth-shattering sound wave came crashing down like a raging river. The clam girl fell silent. She couldn't control Han Fei, but she could control the other three. Instantly, Lu Renquang stopped the sky-swallowing technique, opened his armor box, and attacked Luo Xiaobai and Zhang Xuanyu. Because of the toughness of his soul, Zhang Xuanyu didn't attack, but he was struggling and was about to attack. Luo Xiaobai was bleeding, but she was not bewitched. Her soul seemed to be protected. At this moment, countless vines covered her and Zhang Xuanyu. Han Fei flashed in front of Lu Renquang and knocked him away with a single blow. Clang, clang, clang. The Overlord was attacking the shell of the star shell crazily. Unfortunately, while the sea-quelling bizarre treasures were powerful, they depended on who was using them. The power of the Overlord reached the level of an advanced hidden fisher, but it still couldn't cut this damn shell. Han Fei thought that he was already very powerful, but he only managed to leave a few cracks on the star shell. It seemed that it was not enough to break it. Seeing that even Luo Xiaobai was about to be hypnotized, Han Fei split the void lines into three and cast them on them. Han Fei roared, "Don't resist!" Luo Xiaobai seemed to have sensed something wrong and struggled to say, "I have soul-type treasures." Hearing that, Han Fei simply cast the void lines at Lu Renquang and Zhang Xuanyu. Zhang Xuanyu heard what Han Fei said and didn't resist, but Lu Renquang was really caught in the illusion and was resisting crazily. Han Fei directly hooked 3 void lines to Lu Renquang and turned them into 9. At that moment, Han Fei seemed to see a lot of pictures and information. For example, the little fatty was already fat when he was only a few years old. For example, Lu Renquang was so hungry that he had to pick up food everywhere before his spiritual heritage was revealed. For example, Lu Renquang didn't have parents at all. They seemed to have died in the fishery. Han Fei hurried to cut off the soul peeping. The next moment, Lu Renquang calmed down, and the million knife art returned. Zhang Xuanyu's face was twisted, and Luo Xiaobai was resisting the bewitching voice. Han Fei, on the other hand, recovered his strength and looked at the star shell. "How many times do you think I can launch the attack just now?" There was no sound from the star shell, and Han Fei used the same tactic again. After a while, rumble kacha, the rocks were collapsing, but the infinity water was sweeping above Han Fei's head. This time, Han Fei reacted quickly and extended the 4 void lines into the muscle's mouth. In fact, he had already refined all the dragon veins when he returned to the Scattered Stars Island from the Wind Sky Canyon. There were 10 in total, and 9 of them were from Han Guangqiu. Isn't that right? He controlled Lu Renquang and Zhang Xuanyu with 3 void lines and left 6 void lines to deal with the clam girl. Unfortunately, he only managed to stick 4 fingers in before the clam's mouth closed. With a thought from Han Fei, the 4 void lines were divided into 12 and hooked inside the clam shell. There was no telling what they hooked, but Han Fei didn't feel good. His face was bleeding. A very strong soul power was resisting and tearing at him. Since the confounding clam demon could enchant all living beings, its soul power couldn't be weak. Han Fei had hooked the clam demon's soul by force, which was just a counterattack, but he was at a disadvantage. Han Fei was shocked. Thanks to the help of the god's scaring painting, his soul had grown much faster than ordinary people's. Also, he had harvested ownerless souls in the ancient 72-floor demon realm. Otherwise, he would have been defeated the moment they met. Huh? The god's scaring painting? Han Fei immediately thought of the god's scaring painting in his head. Although he had only memorized 60 pieces of the god's scaring painting, which was less than 1/10 of the total, it was his hope at this moment. Come on, come on. It's a divine painting anyway. Ah! A miserable scream came from the star clam. Han Fei coughed a mouthful of blood and subconsciously opened his eyes. Han Fei grinned. It worked. Although he hadn't memorized the entire god-scaring painting, he didn't know if it could be used to kill enemies. But it seemed to be useful at this moment. Han Fei sensed that the mouth of the clam was slightly open. The clam girl was too focused on the competition with Han Fei to pay attention to other people. The Overlord's battery ran out, and it stayed where it was. Luo Xiaobai came back to herself and hurried to control the vines to crawl into the clam. At this moment, Han Fei felt a great mental pressure, and he seemed to be trying to close the clam. However, how could Han Fei let her do that? At this moment, the remaining 2 void lines extended in 2. Han Fei went crazy. Back then, it took him 5 void lines to subdue the Wind Sky Wing. You're 1 level lower than the Wind Sky Wing. I don't believe that I can't defeat you with 6 void lines. Han Fei even broke out of the fusion crazily and roared, "Little Black, go in and bite her." Han Fei instantly recalled Little White into Forge the Universe while he fought the Clam Girl. Little Black simply crawled into the opening. At the same time, a lot of vines crawled in too. Ah, the mournful cry rang out once more. He could even imagine Little Black's frantic devouring. If the Clam Girl dared to bewitch Little Black, that would be even better. When Little Black went crazy, even he himself felt horrified. Of course, it didn't exclude the possibility that the Clam Girl herself had a powerful attack that could kill Xiao He directly. Therefore, Han Fei was gambling. If he lost the bet, he wouldn't be able to summon Little Black and Little White for a while. If he won the bet, he would win the battle. As long as either Little Black or Little White was alive, neither of them would die. This was also one of his trump cards. Ah! Mournful cries rang out one after another. Han Fei was trying to control the Clam Girl, but weird and bloody pictures popped up in his head. It was a terrifying battle. The picture was incomplete, but it seemed to be a battle between sea monsters and humans. He saw the sword gleam that pierced through the sky. It seemed that there was a big muscle blocking the attack, but the muscle was cut in half. Following that, the scene was no longer that of a battlefield. It was countless wriggling, enchanting chrysalises that were killing the pearl divers. About 10 seconds later, Han Fei found that he was more and more relaxed. The star shell seemed to be unable to be closed anymore. Han Fei saw that vines and seaweed were spreading out of the muscle meat. I'm going to win. Han Fei immediately recalled the void lines on Zhang Xuanyu and Lu Renquang and sent the 4 void lines into the shell again. At this moment, all 10 void lines had been hooked to the Clam Girl and the star shell. What confused Han Fei was that although the Clam Girl struggled less, he didn't feel that she was completely under his control. Is it because my soul isn't strong enough? While Han Fei and the Clam Girl were fighting each other's souls, he suddenly heard the Clam Girl begging for mercy miserably. "Let me go. Please let me go. I can sign a master-servant contract with you." At this moment, Zhang Xuanyu had already come back to himself. Lu Renquang sat on the ground and held his head, trying to raise it. Zhang Xuanyu cursed, "Han Fei, don't trust this demon. Her voice had the power to bewitch people. Kill her. Kill this son of a bitch." Luo Xiaobai only said one word, "Kill." "Ah, let me go. I have treasures. I know where the sea-quelling bazaar treasure is." Han Fei cursed. "What do you know? Do you think I care about the sea-quelling bazaar treasure?" As he spoke, Han Fei controlled the infinity water to cut into the shell crazily. His advantage was growing, and the star shell's opening was getting bigger and bigger. Under the dual attacks of Luo Xiaobai and Little Black, Han Fei's resistance was getting smaller and smaller. The clam girl stopped screaming, and Han Fei stopped talking. Han Fei was thinking to himself, I'll kill you no matter what you try to tempt me with. But suddenly, Han Fei paused for a moment. It was because he saw the C token and someone he didn't know at all in the clam girl's soul. Han Fei immediately said, Xiaobai, stop. Luo Xiaobai glanced at Han Fei and stopped attacking. But Han Fei didn't stop Little Black. He said coldly, tell me where the sea-quelling painting is before you're eaten. Otherwise, you'll be killed. The boneyard? Are you sure it's in the boneyard? Han Fei's eyes glittered. Where's the boneyard? The clam girl shrieked, let me go, and I'll tell you everything. Han Fei sneered. You'd better tell me the exact location before you're eaten. You're already crippled anyway. I don't mind letting you go. It's up to you how you choose. Han Fei was counting his fingers. Of course, he wasn't calculating where the boneyard was, because he wasn't capable enough to do that. He was only calculating if the clam girl was lying to him. If he limited his prediction to whether or not she was lying, he would still be able to sense it. Luo Xiaobai said coldly, you'd better think carefully before you speak. I know all the known large, dangerous places near the Scattered Stars Island. In the underground city, Luo Xiaobai scolded, there's no such place as an underground city near the Scattered Stars Island. Han Fei, however, was slightly surprised. The clam girl didn't seem to be lying to him. However, he played along with Luo Xiaobai and said, where is the underground city that I've never heard of? Unless you can tell me the entrance, you're lying to me. I don't know the entrance. I didn't know it until I swallowed a human being. Maybe it's in the Sea of Pearls. Han Fei's lips curled. It seems that you're lying to me. Go to hell. Xiaobai, do it. Shameless human beings. Let me go. In a miserable cry for mercy, the clam girl inside finally died. Her body was no longer under her control, and half of the star shell was eaten by Little Black. Han Fei even saw a flash on Little Black's body. It had advanced. Retrieving Little Black, Han Fei was about to say something to Luo Xiaobai when he sensed a violent soul surging at him along the void lines. Han Fei immediately sat down. Protect me. The second chapter, asking for votes. Into this chapter, Chapter 863. Han Fei discovered another great use of the divine manipulation technique. Not only could he control the soul and deprive the enemy of control of their body, but he could also deprive the ownerless souls of the dead creatures. However, Han Fei did not dare to extract all the ownerless souls. Only a small portion was pulled back by the void lines. It was not even 1/10 of the clam goddess soul. Even so, it was still a lot. Han Fei sensed that the ownerless souls that were retrieved by the void lines were not as violent as they were at the beginning, which was acceptable. Therefore, he didn't hold back at all and directly collected these ownerless souls. About half an hour later, Han Fei completely collected the ownerless souls. He hurriedly looked at his information. Owner Han Fei, level greater than 51, Junior Hidden Fisher, Spiritual Energy 461, 9667. 23886. Spiritual Power 3, 392/3, 392. Perception Range greater than 31,999 meters. Spiritual Heritage Level 7. Low Quality Spiritual Beast Twin Yin-Yang Spirit Swallowing Fish Level 46. Main Art Divine Manipulation Technique Level 5 of Void Fishing Heaven Level Divine Quality. Han Fei found that his spiritual power had increased by more than 200 points. He grinned. Damn, as expected of a sea spirit expert, the increase in spiritual power is even greater than the leap of a level. When Han Fei opened his eyes, Lu Renquang had recovered. At this moment, Lu Renquang immediately shouted, we have to find a way out. This place seems unstable. Han Fei looked around, only to find that the wall was full of cracks and could collapse at any moment. Luo Xiaobai pointed at the green star shell and said, it should be this shell. Why don't you take it and try to refine it? Han Fei looked at the star shell. Of course, this was it. This space must have been created by the shell. Han Fei immediately stepped forward and pressed his hand on the shell. He cut his palm and let the blood drip out. However, the star shell showed no reaction. Huh, it's not a blood bond? Han Fei branded it with his soul. In the next second, the view before his eyes changed. The four of them appeared in the seawater, and in Han Fei's hand, there was a small jasper shell. Han Fei immediately spread out his perception, only to find that someone was flying by on a fishing boat 30 kilometers away. Immediately, Han Fei said telepathically, "Our battle with the clam girls seems to have attracted the attention of the outside world. Let's go. Let's leave this place and pretend to be a passerby." More than an hour later, the four of them sat on the wind god boat and looked at each other. Along the way, they encountered at least 10 groups of people. Fortunately, there were no law enforcers among them. Otherwise, they would have discovered it a long time ago. However, after escaping so far away, they pretended to be a treasure hunter and began to explore the vicinity. After less than half an hour, someone passed by them. That person happened to be a law enforcer. When he saw the four of them, he couldn't help but be surprised. "When did you come?" Han Fei pretended to be stunned. "We just arrived." Seeing their temporary waist tags and 6-star waist tags, the law enforcer nodded slightly. "This time we caused quite a stir. However, no purple flames appeared. Be careful." With that, the law enforcer left, leaving the four of them looking at each other again. Lu Kwang said unhurriedly, "We seem to be quite lucky." Zhang Xuanyi nodded. "We were almost discovered by the law enforcers." Han Fei said, "Let's fly in the sky. Lu Kwang will control the boat and fly anywhere. Let's take a look at our harvest first." All the harvest this time was in the star shell. The moment it appeared, Han Fei found that the inside of the star shell had become an enormous space with a radius of 20 kilometers. It was much better than the sun-moon shell. It could even be said that it was much larger than his Forge the Universe right now. Unfortunately, there weren't many treasures. The first thing Han Fei found and took out was a sea token. Luo Xiaobai said in surprise, "It's exactly the same as yours." Zhang Xuanyu said in delight, "I wonder if this token can only be used by one person. It'd be great if each of us could have one." Han Fei, "Do you have more on your side?" Han Fei rolled his eyes. "Do you think they're cabbages? I suspect that this sea token was left behind after being killed by this clam demon." Luo Xiaobai handed the sea token back to Han Fei and said, "Keep it. At that time, let's see what use this token has." Lu Kwang nodded. "This token is not easy to get. Did you forget that the Sun Clan chased me for a long time because of this token?" Han Fei grinned and said, "Too. I don't think it's too little." Luo Xiaobai looked at Han Fei and said, "Where's the boneyard? What was the sea quelling painting? I'm pretty sure there's no such thing as an underground city." Han Fei looked at Luo Xiaobai in surprise. "You don't know?" Luo Xiaobai shook her head in confusion. "Should I know?" Han Fei laughed. "Maybe I'm overthinking. Chao Qiu knew this. However, what I'm about to say should be a secret. Han Fei didn't hide it from them. Their countless life and death experiences had long since proven their relationship. Although the exploration this time was extremely dangerous, so dangerous that everyone's scalp tingled. However, this should be regarded as a good thing. The exploration experience this time told them that the secret realms and mysterious events near the Scattered Stars Island were really terrifying. If they were not careful, even hidden fishers would be killed. With this experience, Han Fei didn't care about others, but Lu Kwang, the damn fatty, would definitely cultivate harder. Just look at this guy's livid face. After a moment, Luo Xiaobai said in surprise, "Is this related to the fall of our Thug Academy?" Han Fei nodded. "Yes. If I'm not mistaken, the Thug Academy fought with some people in the Thousand Star City because of the sea quelling painting. In the end, the Thug Academy was beaten into this miserable state now." Zhang Xuanyu took a deep breath. "Wait a minute. Are we going to fight for something that so many strong masters failed to get?" Lu Kwang nodded and said, Yes, the Thug Academy was defeated by them, but they still failed to get it. Besides, Han Fei, your big sword is actually a sea-quelling bizarre treasure. I always thought it was a divine weapon." Luo Xiaobai and Zhang Xuanyu also looked at Han Fei. Zhang Xuanyu didn't participate in the battle in the Demon Forest last time, but he had heard about it from Lu Renquang. Now it seemed that Han Fei didn't tell the truth before. Han Fei smiled innocently. Do you believe me if I say that Xia Xiaochan left it for me? Zhang Xuanyu tilted his head and said, Xia Xiaochan has a sea-quelling bizarre treasure? Luo Xiaobai nodded. If Xiaochan left a sea-quelling bizarre treasure for you, she would at least leave a divine weapon for us. Do you still want to lie to us with that little trick of yours? Lu Renquang curled his lips. Yes, yes. Han Fei scratched his head. Alas, I can't hide it anymore. Okay, this is what I got in the Snow God's temple. You should have heard of it, right? Luo Xiaobai nodded. Yes, it's the mission you carried out before Xiaochan disappeared. Han Fei nodded. Yes, that's it. In addition, I need to tell you that if you get a high-quality divine weapon or above in the future, don't immediately recognize it as its master. It will suck your blood. Lu Renquang was surprised. Really? Han Fei sneered. Especially for people like you who haven't become hidden fishers. Even if you encounter a sea-quelling bizarre treasure, you can only take it, but you can't make it recognize you as its master. Luo Xiaobai nodded slightly. Well, I know. Zhang Xuanyu envied Han Fei's sea-quelling bizarre treasure, because he knew that Han Fei couldn't exert the power of the sea-quelling bizarre treasure. In fact, there were many things that Han Fei couldn't exert the power of now. For example, Han Fei didn't dare to use Snowmorn himself. He was afraid that his spiritual energy would be drained after one attack, which would give his opponent a chance to take advantage of. For example, the embroidery needle didn't even recognize him as its master and could only be used as a hard stick. For example, the infinity water didn't know what it could be used for except as a knife. He had no clue. And the cosmic sword, Han Fei had been hesitating whether to recognize it as its master or not. It was very necessary to have an ultra-quality divine weapon in hand. However, Han Fei wasn't sure whether he still needed to learn swordsmanship after using the cosmic sword. Although the cosmic sword contained the cosmic sword technique, even Han Fei knew that he wasn't good at it. Zhang Xuanyu said, It's so difficult to get a sea token. I really suspect that if we really went to that boneyard, would we be killed before we even touched the map? Lu Renquang nodded quickly. Yes, 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 I want to say the same. Han Fei sneered. So, I want you to improve your strength quickly. To be honest, those who compete for the sea-quelling painting are likely to be heavenly talents of the same generation. We can probably all go there. Luo Xiaobai was surprised. Huh? We can go without a sea token? Han Fei smiled. I'm just guessing. As far as I know, there are 99 sea tokens, but I don't believe that only 99 people will compete for them. As for the specific use of the sea token, I don't know yet, but I may know in the future. So, we all have to continue to improve our strength. Lu Renquang took a deep breath and said, I'll become a hidden fisher when I go back. The third chapter, asking for votes. Today will be the third chapter. Thank you everyone for your support, asking for monthly votes. The story is long and not something that can be accomplished in one go. Leveling up is not the key. The main thing is still to follow the main storyline. Into this chapter. Chapter 864. Except for the sea token, which made them fantasize, there were no decent weapons in the star shell. There were only dozens of ultra-quality spiritual weapons and 2 semi-divine weapons. They didn't know which unlucky bastard had left them here. Han Fei threw all the ultra-quality spiritual weapons to Lu Renquang. There was also a semi-divine knife, which Han Fei threw to him too. The last semi-divine weapon was a sword. Neither Luo Xiaobai nor Zhang Xuanyu needed it. Zhang Xuanyu wanted Han Fei to refine a semi-divine rod for him. Han Fei didn't hesitate and kept it for himself. Apart from weapons, Han Fei was most excited about the rest of the items. Han Fei remarked, There are more than 12,000 ultra-quality pearls, about 2,000 black pearls, 5,000 colorful pearls, and fewer than 5,000 high-quality pearls. In terms of price, 1 black pearl was equal to 100 high-quality pearls. But in terms of value, 1 black pearl contained more than 100,000 points of spiritual energy. The spiritual energy from the black pearl alone was more than 200 million. Han Fei thought for a moment. I'll keep the black pearls. You can divide the ultra-quality pearls, high-quality pearls, and colorful pearls among yourselves. In Han Fei's opinion, the value of all the other pearls combined was less than the 2,000 black pearls. Although he won the battle this time, Luren Quang, Luo Xiaobai, and the other two had made great contributions too. At least, Zhang Xuanyu protected Luren Quang and Luo Xiaobai for a while with his soul power. Luren Quang swallowed a lot of enchanting chrysalises, and Luo Xiaobai had been seizing the opportunity to fight into the star shell with him. Luo Xiaobai looked at Han Fei in surprise. The ultra-quality pearls and the black pearls can't be traded for with high-quality pearls. Why don't you take the ultra-quality pearls too? Zhang Xuanyu said yes. You seem to be the one who needs spiritual energy the most. Han Fei was amused. Don't forget that I'm a spirit gatherer. Do you want them? If not, I'll take them myself. Luo Xiaobai and the other two said almost at the same time, yes. As for the star shell itself, Han Fei looked at Luo Xiaobai and asked, do you know the star shell? Luo Xiaobai slightly shook her head. I only know the sun-moon shell. Usually, the space formed after the death of a sun-moon shell would exceed a kilometer in radius. As for the star shell, it might be a rare and precious shell above the sun-moon shell. Han Fei nodded. I'll keep it. When I get a sun-moon shell, I'll give it to you. Han Fei kept the star shell not because he really wanted it, but because when he wanted to take it out, he found that he couldn't. His mind raced. Isn't it already mine? Why couldn't he take it out? But he couldn't see it now. When he had time, he would go to Forge the Universe to have a look. Zhang Xuanyu scratched his head. We spent 400,000 high-quality pearls to get here. It's only been a day, hasn't it? Luren Quang sighed. I wonder if I can get a refund. Luo Xiaobai said, it seems that we can only get part of the money back if we return the temporary pass. Han Fei's eyes lit up. A small amount of money is still money. If there's another clam girl in the Sea of Pearls, I don't want to fight her anymore. Luren Quang nodded quickly. Yes. I don't want to eat worms either. Luo Xiaobai said casually. The trip to the Sea of Pearls indirectly proves that we're not strong enough. If Han Fei hadn't performed more than one wave of power, we probably would have been killed. Han Fei suddenly asked, oh, right, Xiaobai, what does one wave of power mean? Is it a unit of power? Zhang Xuanyu and Luren Quang looked at Luo Xiaobai too. It was the first time that they had heard of such a thing. Luo Xiaobai looked at Han Fei thoughtfully and said, one wave of power describes the slapping force of a tidal wave, which is about 10 million kilograms. The experts measure their power with that as a unit. By logic, if a hidden fisher cultivates to the peak, he may have the power of one wave with the help of other forces. While talking, Luo Xiaobai stared at Han Fei, slightly surprised that Han Fei already had more than one wave of power. Zhang Xuanyu looked at Han Fei too. Hiss, doesn't it mean that Han Fei's power has surpassed that of a peak-level hidden fisher? Luren Quang was slightly stunned too. Is he really that strong? Luo Xiaobai said unhurriedly. Not more than a peak-level hidden fisher, but Han Fei. After you use the majestic mystic spell, you may have the power of a junior law enforcer. Han Fei thought of tsunamis. He had read such news before. There was once an earthquake at the bottom of the sea, which resulted in a giant crater more than 100 kilometers wide, 1,000 kilometers long, and dozens of meters deep. The power generated by the violent quakes was equivalent to the power of 1,000,000 atomic bombs. In the blink of an eye, Han Fei and the seashore disappeared in the tides. Of course, that was the kinetic energy generated by the quakes of the entire sea, not a single wave. But at this moment, Luo Xiaobai's description made Han Fei secretly sigh. Was 10 million kilograms the power of one wave? In that case, the power that he could exert at his peak was probably close to 2 waves. Han Fei couldn't help but frown. Xiaobai, are you sure that one wave is 10 million kilograms? I think it's more than that, right? Luo Xiaobai said, I'm talking about the power of one corner of the wave, because if you want to attack, you can only attack one point, so this calculation is correct, and I didn't set it. In terms of the power of the whole wave, It is impossible to calculate. Han Fei patted his thigh and said, "Hey, you know the majestic mystic spell too. You're very close to the power of one wave." Zhang Xuanyu rolled his eyes and said, "Nonsense. After I became a hidden fisher, my strength was only about 600,000 kilograms. Even if I fuse with my spiritual beast and activate the majestic mystic spell, I can only exert the power of 4 million kilograms at most. I'm still far from the power of one wave." Lu Renkuang rolled his eyes. "Are you two showing off?" Lu Renkuang secretly said, "No, I have to make a breakthrough as soon as possible. Otherwise, I'll really be too backward." During the next day, Han Fei and the others leisurely flew back to the Pearl Divers Port. This time, they stood on the square and saw a large number of fishing boats flying back and forth. Among them, there were many six-star experts. The four of them couldn't help but look at each other in bewilderment. They must have come because of the earthquake last night. Unfortunately, they didn't even use the purple fire this time. They were destined to return empty-handed. When they walked to the gate of the registration hall, they found that it was already crowded with people. What Han Fei and the others wanted to do was refund the money. How could they refund the money when there were so many people here? Zhang Xuanyu sighed and said, "Why don't we just give up?" Lu Renkuang said regretfully, "Money." Han Fei suddenly grabbed his temporary card and said, "Everyone, there are only 19 temporary cards left. If you want to buy them, it's first come, first served. There are only 4 of them." Zhang Xuanyu and the others all looked at Han Fei in shock. Is that even possible? The crowd suddenly fell silent, and then someone turned into a blurred shadow and appeared before Han Fei. "Brother, I'll take your temporary card." Shwa, shwa, shwa. All of a sudden, dozens of people appeared in front of Han Fei in various ways. Some turned into smoke and appeared suddenly, some jumped over, and some popped up from the ground. Anyway, the moment Han Fei shouted, the place was already crowded with people. Someone saw Luo Xiaobai and shouted, "Miss Luo, we met in the central city. Can you give me your waist tag?" Someone put his hand on Lu Renkuang's shoulder. "Brother, I'll pay you more. I'll pay you for a few more days." Someone pushed the person in front of Han Fei away. "Go away. I was here first. Why did you cut the line?" A moment later, Han Fei and the others looked at each other in bewilderment. Not only did they not lose anything on the trip to the Sea of Pearls, but they also earned 100,000 mid-quality pearls. Now, even the price of temporary waist tags had risen. Zhang Xuanyu grinned at Han Fei. "Fei, I find that you're really a talent for making money." Lu Renkuang nodded. Yes. I think it's possible for us to ask for a higher price." Luo Xiaobai said. "Cultivation is more important." Han Fei thought to himself, "I've been a scalper in this damn place." This was really a popular industry. Han Fei said, "All right, let's go. What's there to be happy about?" Just when they were about to leave, a few people in battle suits, holding a big fish skin, quickly came to the entrance of the registration hall and pasted the fish skin on the wall. "Huh? An auction?" Han Fei was briefly stunned. "An auction is being held at this moment?" Luo Xiaobai said, "Of course. A lot of people will come to the Pearl Divers Port in the next few days, and they may be very strong. It means that they have certain spending power. An auction at this moment is more likely to attract attention." Lu Renkuang said, "Look, a few treasures are hanging on the wall. There are semi-divine weapons, heaven-level high-quality combat techniques, and a phoenix spirit ginseng." "What's that?" Han Fei's eyes immediately glittered. "Wait, the auction will be held at the Pearl Divers Auction House when the moon rises tonight. Shall we go there and take a look?" Luo Xiaobai asked. "Are you interested? I think the things you have are much better than those at the auction." Zhang Xuanyu nodded quickly too. "I wonder, is the semi-divine weapon a rod?" Han Fei chuckled. "It's a rod. Do you want to buy it? You don't want me to make one for you, do you?" Zhang Xuanyu smacked his lips. "That's true." Lu Renkuang asked, "Then are we going or not?" Han Fei chuckled. He was determined to get the Phoenix Spirit Ginseng. He could exchange it for Spirit Awakening Fluid with the old turtle. Han Fei said, "I'm just curious, right? We've never been to such an auction before." Luo Xiaobai said casually, "Then let's stay one more night." Asking for votes. End of this chapter. Chapter 865. The night had just arrived. In the auction house of the Pearl Divers Port. A lot of people came to the auction house today. The Pearl Divers Port guaranteed absolute fairness and safety in their transactions. Therefore, nobody who came to the auction was asked to conceal their faces or identities, of course. Almost none of the people who came to the auction house were below 6 stars. Occasionally, there would be a few, but most of them were probably here to broaden their horizons or to sell things. The auction house of the Pearl Divers Port had a special style. There were too many pearls on the walls and the decorations. Under the illumination of the light, it seemed especially dazzling. When Han Fei and the others walked in, a waiter immediately came to them. "Sir, are you here for the auction? Or, do you have anything to sell?" Han Fei asked. "What are the requirements for the auction?" The waiter said with a smile, "The requirements for the heavenly talents in the Pearl Divers Port are very simple. All you need to do is to prove your worth. You can participate if you have more than 500,000 points or high-quality pearls." Han Fei still had a lot of points, which were given to him by Mu Jiaer and Guan Qingyan in the Wind Sky Canyon. So, everybody turned over their waist tags. The waiter glanced at them and said with a smile, "Sir, would you like a private room or a public room?" The tea in a private room costs only 1,000 high-quality pearls. Han Fei gave the pearls to the waiter. "A private room, please." He didn't even need to think about it. The difference between a private room and a public room wasn't just about their level. During the bidding, the feeling it gave to the competitors was also different. A moment later, Han Fei and the others came to a private room. There were sea spirit melon seeds, dried fish, and other snacks on the table, as well as sea bamboo drinks. Zhang Xuanyu leaned to Han Fei and said, "Fei, I'm told that there's a great horror at the bottom of the Empyrean waterfall. Do you know what it is?" Han Fei snorted and said, "A big turtle." "A big turtle?" Lu Renquang couldn't help but ask in a low voice, "Like the rock-holding turtle?" Han Fei rolled his eyes and said, "What are you thinking? A peak-level law enforcer won't hurt anybody on purpose." Luo Xiaobai didn't react at all. While the three of them were chatting, Luo Xiaobai kept looking at other private rooms through the window. The private rooms here could block out perception, but not the naked eye. Suddenly, Luo Xiaobai said, "There are many acquaintances." The three of them asked in surprise, "Where?" Luo Xiaobai pointed at a private room at the other end of the round auction hall and said, "There, Jiren Chao." The three of them followed her gaze and saw Chao Jiren standing by the window. Seeing their eyes fall on her, she glanced back at them indifferently. Luo Xiaobai continued, "The third room on Jiren Chao's left is Zhongwen." Han Fei had already seen this guy. Every time that guy saw him, it was as if he wanted to eat him up. How could he not notice him? However, Han Fei remembered what old Han said. The 7th level of the true spirit fishing art might be in the Zhang family. In the future, he would have to think of a way to get close to him. Zhang Xuanyu said, "Li Hai and Li Baizhou are also here, and that guy from the Mountain Sea Pavilion, I forget his name." Luo Xiaobai said, "Zhai Shan." Zhang Xuanyu nodded quickly. Yes, that's him." Han Fei poked his head out of the window, glanced around, and happened to see Mu Ling waved at Han Fei and said to him via voice transmission with a smile, "What did you take my Tengu?" "Recently, I often don't see him." Han Fei replied with a smile, "Don't worry. Tengu has a chance." "But, sister-in-law, did you come here alone?" Mu Ling nodded. "There is something I want in this auction. I came to compete for it." He didn't talk much with Mu Ling. There were many strong masters with high stars here. For example, Han Fei saw Shi Sanyue in the room next to Mu Ling's. This woman was one of the captains in the Demon Forest. Now that he looked at it, he saw 7 stars. This was the 1,000 slaughter, the rank of a centurion. Seeing that Han Fei was looking at her, Shi Sanyue thought to herself, "We don't know each other. Why are you looking at me?" Han Fei was suddenly pulled back by Luo Xiaobai, who said helplessly, "Sit down." Han Fei chuckled. "Is the level of this auction so high?" Luo Xiaobai shook her head. "As far as I know, there won't be so many heavenly talents here. Since they are here, it means that there is something special in this auction that deserves their attention." Lu Renquang said while stuffing dried fish into his mouth. "Anyway, It has nothing to do with me. Han Fei, when can you refine semi-divine weapons or divine weapons? When the time comes, can you help me change the weapons in my weapon box? Humph. Han Fei rolled his eyes and said, Do you think semi-divine weapons and divine weapons are cabbages? I can't exchange them for your armor box, even with all my wealth. Lu Renkuang shrugged and began to eat sea melon seeds. Zhang Xuanyu sighed. Fortunately, I only need a stick. Luo Xiaobai shrugged. I don't need anything. Everyone, after less than half an hour, all the private rooms, including the hall downstairs, were already full of people. At this moment, an extremely charming woman walked onto the auction stage. The woman said with a smile, Hello, everyone. I am Wang Jiao, the auctioneer of the Pearl Divers Port Auction House. You can also call me Sister Jiao. This auction will begin in 100 seconds. Please bid in an orderly manner and release your senses to observe. Someone laughed. Jiao, let's begin. I can't wait any longer. Wang Jiao smiled. You're so annoying. Call me Sister Jiao. Don't be hasty. The item is about to be presented. Someone mumbled, her voice is so sweet. In the hubbub, 100 seconds passed quietly. Not long after, a girl walked over with a small box in her hands. Wang Jiao slightly nodded, and the girl opened the box. Inside was a purple pill. Wang Jiao said, This is the first item of this auction. It's named the barrier-breaking pill. I think you're all familiar with it. 4 peak-level hanging fissures. The barrier-breaking pill can increase their odds of making a breakthrough by 30%. Of course, if you're very confident in yourself, you can ignore it. The starting price is 3,000 high-quality pearls, and each increment must be no less than 100 high-quality pearls. The bidding begins now. As soon as the pill appeared, someone immediately called out a bid. 3,000 pills, I'll take it. Someone raised the price. 3,000, I'll take it. 3,500, please do me a favor. How much is your favor worth? I'll offer 4,000. Very soon, the price of the barrier-breaking pill reached 6,000, and it was sold at the price of 6,500. This was just the beginning. The barrier-breaking pill was only targeted at peak-level hanging fissures, so few hidden fissures bid. It also meant that few people in the private rooms bid. Wang Jiao chuckled. Congratulations, buyer. Sold for 6,500. A staff will deliver the barrier-breaking pill to you later. Now, let's welcome the next item. This time, it was the same girl again. She dragged a tray with a jade slip on it. Wang Jiao explained, This is an ancient technique that was recently acquired from a treasure trove. I believe that somebody here must know about that treasure trove. The name of this technique is the Book of Setting Sun, a heaven-level, low-quality technique that can gather the power of heavenly fire and is suitable for people with sturdy bodies. Since it's an ancient technique, the starting price is 50,000, and each increment must be no less than 1,000. The bidding begins now. Zhang Xuanyu said in surprise, It's very cheap. Han Fei looked at him sideways. Why do you think it's cheap? The starting price of a low-quality technique is 50,000. It should be several times higher. As he expected, someone on the second floor made a bid. 60,000. Only soul warriors and armorists can use it. Not many people want it, right? Someone laughed. Hey, wait, 80,000. Is there anyone who wants a higher price than me? Someone made a bid. 85,000. Why are they competing so hard for a low-quality technique? After only a moment, the heaven-level, low-quality technique had reached a price of 130,000. It didn't stop there. Only when the price reached 150,000 did someone finally stop bidding. Han Fei licked his lips. I really want to rob them. Everyone, Lu Renkuang remarked. They're spending so much money on a heaven-level, low-quality technique. Luo Xiaobai shook her head. Not much. It would have been higher in the logistics division. Lu Renkuang laughed. That's true. A moment later, the third item was pushed out, which turned out to be placed in a water ball. Wang Jiao said with a smile, This is a mutated species of demon spirit sea anemones. It's extremely tenacious and grows fast. It's suitable for manipulators as a contractual spiritual plant. The starting price is 60,000, and each increment must be no less than 1,000. The bidding begins now. Immediately, many girls stood out. Someone said 80,000, 100,000, 110,000, 150,000. Han Fei and the others were stunned. Women were truly ruthless when they started bidding. Han Fei looked at Luo Xiaobai. Is it good? Luo Xiaobai said, It's so, but it's very tenacious and has the characteristics of parasitism. Someone wants it. 200,000. Han Fei and the others were stunned that Luo Xiaobai offered 200,000 so quickly. She was offering 200,000? Everyone fell silent. Wang Jiao smiled. 200,000 once. 200,000 twice. Deal. Congratulations, friends in room number 23. Later, a staff will deliver the demon spirit sea anemone to your room. Luo Xiaobai looked at Han Fei and the others. Although it's a so, it's quite rare. I can extract its abilities and life characteristics. Han Fei was lost for words. I think I've seen it somewhere before. Luo Xiaobai, Zhang Xuanyu patted Han Fei's shoulder. I feel that you've missed out on millions. Second update. Asking for votes. End of this chapter. Chapter 866. Han Fei had indeed seen a demon spirit sea anemone before. As for where it was, it seemed to be on the way out of the sea demon mountain. Who would pay attention to a demon spirit sea anemone? Shouldn't these things be everywhere? Luo Xiaobai said, That's fine. That's how spiritual plants are. You don't even know where some special spiritual plants appear. While Han Fei clicked his tongue, Wang Jiao pushed out another ball of water in which a sealed fish was inside. The fish was blue and gray and was absolutely still in the ball of water. If it weren't an exhibit, Han Fei would have thought that it was a dead fish. However, the private room wasn't far away from the platform, so Han Fei could read the information. At this moment, information popped up in his eyes. Name, Hollow Nether Fish, Introduction. This is a very lazy fish that will go invisible after a long period of stillness. The Hollow Nether Fish has a high spiritual power. It can pierce through creatures of the same level and devour their souls. Level 53, Quality, Exotic, Ultra Quality. Spiritual energy greater than 10,023 points. Effect, it can increase one's spiritual attention after it's eaten. It's very helpful for the cultivation of the visualization diagram. Collectible Hollow Nether, absorbable. Before Han Fei said anything, Luo Xiaobai looked at Han Fei and said, I want this fish too. You can lend me some if you don't have enough money. Han Fei grinned. Fine. It seems that you know it. Luo Xiaobai nodded. It's a hollow nether fish. Lu Rinquang asked in confusion. What kind of fish is it? You'll know it if you hear about it. Wang Jiao said regretfully. I think you've heard of the hollow nether fish. It's the best contractual spiritual beast for manipulators. It can help with the growth of the soul and concentration. This is a level 53 hollow nether fish. It's very rare. The starting price is 200,000, and each increment must be 10,000. This time, all kinds of voices echoed in the private room. Someone said, 200,000. Someone else said, 300,000. Chao Jiaran suddenly said, 500,000. Below the stage, the people in the hall were all dumbfounded. Could a fish be sold at such a high price? In a private room to Han Fei's left, someone said, 800,000. Chao Jiaran didn't even blink. 1,000,000. The girl gritted her teeth. 1, 2 million. Chao Jiaran, 1, 5 million. Suddenly, Luo Xiaobai joined the battle and said, 2 million. Hiss. This time, many people in the private room sighed. Are these women all King Nouveau riches? The moment he opened his mouth, he asked for 2 million. Was this still the price of a fish? Chao Jiaran looked at Luo Xiaobai in surprise too, but she didn't care and continued. 3 million. This increase in the price immediately made everyone else speechless. The girl who had been bidding earlier was dumbfounded. How can you bid like this? Wang Jiao immediately came back to herself. Guest in room 23. Is the siren going to raise the price? If you don't, Luo Xiaobai said calmly. For million, where did these women come from? Do you not care about money? Someone sighed. How is this even possible? It's just a fish. and they're fighting for it to this extent? Chao Jiren looked at Luo Xiaobai. 5 million. If you pay 6 million, it'll be yours. Luo Xiaobai said without hesitation, 6 million. Chao Jiren didn't say anything and simply sat down. Han Fei smiled bitterly. Does Xiaobai have that much money? Wang Jiao hurried to make a deal. 6 million once, 6 million twice. Deal. A moment later, Han Fei looked at Luo Xiaobai and asked, lost for words, are you out of your mind? 6 million high-quality pearls seemed cheap, but it was worth at least 600 million mid-quality pearls. Luo Xiaobai's scoundrel made it disappear. Luo Xiaobai said, the demon forest rewarded me 5 million points last time. I have 3 million left. I have 2 million high-quality pearls with me. Lend me another million. Han Fei smiled helplessly. Okay, just bid. I'll give you enough money. Zhang Xuanyu said unhurriedly. Fei, I'm tempted to bid too. Get lost. The atmosphere of the auction was intense because of Luo Xiaobai and Chao Jiren. The sky-high price of 6 million had been announced. Everyone was so frightened by the two of them that no one dared to make sound. However, Han Fei immediately thought of his divine manipulation technique. After killing the clam girl, he could absorb her soul. Chances were that it would be even more effective than the hollow nether fish. It meant that one of the abilities of the divine manipulation technique was already worth a fortune. After another 10 or so displays, almost all of the private rooms had started bidding. However, none of them had a price higher than 600. As for the Phoenix Spirit Ginseng, Han Fei bought it for only 210,000. He didn't regret it at all. At this moment, two soul warriors carried something that looked like a calf to the stage. It seemed to be very heavy. It was covered with a fish skin. There was no telling what it was. Wang Jiao said charmingly. The remaining two exhibits were excavated from an underground relic. This one is very mysterious. I don't know what it is at all. It's very likely to be the water god statue in the ancient town. Please take a look. Wang Jiao opened the fish skin with a clatter. Han Fei's eyes bulged at that moment. A buffalo? He was speechless. What the F***CK did I think it was? It turned out to be a delicate buffalo. The water buffalo's body was engraved with all kinds of strange runes and lines. Han Fei didn't know what it was, but he knew that the buffalo couldn't be simple. Since Wang Jiao said that it was excavated from a relic, it had to be a prehistoric relic, or a buffalo couldn't have existed. Immediately, someone asked, Jiao, what is this? Someone was stunned. I don't know this creature. What's carved on it? We don't know him. So who should we sell this to? Wang Jiao said with a smile. It's exactly because nobody knows it that this item is being auctioned. Otherwise, who would auction such a marvelous statue? Someone asked, Jiao, can you tell us what this thing is for? What are the benefits after we buy it? Wang Jiao shook her head. I don't know. Treasures belong to the fated. Just because we don't understand it doesn't mean nobody can. The starting price of this item is 500,000, and each bid must be higher than 10,000. Bidding begins. However, nobody said anything after a long time. Wang Jiao asked again, is there nobody bidding? I'll ask 3 times. If nobody bids, this item will be sold. Is there nobody bidding? No one. 500,000. Han Fei opened his mouth. At this moment, everyone's gazes were on room 23. He said to Han Fei, I can buy this thing. However, can you tell me the location of the ruins? Wang Jiao said with a smile, guest in booth number 23, I'm sorry. The relic has been destroyed. Everything that can be cleaned out has been cleaned out. Guest, do you still want it? Han Fei pretended to be silent for a while. Okay, I'll take it. Luo Xiaobai and the others looked at Han Fei. Was there a secret in such a weird thing? Not just Luo Xiaobai and the others thought so, but so did the others. Someone even wanted to bid with Han Fei. But on second thought, if it was useless after being bought, wouldn't it be a waste? Zhang Wen's booth suddenly said, 510,000. Han Fei glanced at Zhang Wen casually and thought to himself, I have to forget about getting close to the Zhang family and getting the 7th level of the true spirit fishing art. Next time I'll kill this guy first. Being glanced at by Han Fei, Zhang Wen felt a little guilty. Wang Jiao asked, Does booth number 23 still want to bid? Han Fei smiled and said, forget it. If he wants it, he can take it. I just want to know the location of the relic. Pooh! Zhang Wen almost spat out a mouthful of blood. So, you just waiting for someone to take over? Wang Jiao also chuckled and said, is there anyone else? 600,000 once, 600,000 twice. When Wang Jiao was about to close the deal, Mu Ling's booth suddenly said, 600,000. Wang Jiao looked at Zhang Wen. Booth number 37. Do you want to continue bidding? Zhang Wen shook his head. No, he just wanted to discuss Han Fei. Now that someone had taken over the relic, he couldn't be happier. Han Fei didn't expect Mu Ling to bid. He was just about to speak to Chao Juren telepathically and ask her to bid for him, but Mu Ling took over. Mu Ling also took a look at Han Fei and blinked. Han Fei nodded slightly, indicating that he understood. Luo Xiaobai asked in surprise, do you know that creature? Han Fei nodded. I saw it in the snow god's temple. Han Fei thought to himself, what if I don't even know a buffalo? Am I an idiot? After all, it was the first time that Han Fei had seen a buffalo in this world. Well, although it was a statue, it was still a buffalo. Arad. All of a sudden, Zhang Xuanyu pointed at a stick that was being carried up the stage. Han Fei was stunned. It was a purple-red long rod. Han Fei glanced at it and found that it was at least a semi-divine weapon. No wonder Zhang Xuanyu was jealous. Lu Rinquang murmured, is there really a rod for sale? Han Fei immediately said, Yu, let me tell you, it's very expensive to buy things here. Can you gather some spiritual energy, and I'll make it for you? Zhang Xuanyu said with jealousy, let's see how much it costs first. Wang Jiao said with a charming smile, this rod is from the same place as the statue, just now. They were both excavated from an ancient relic. Also, it's a low-quality divine weapon. You should know how valuable it is, right? Zhang Xuanyu immediately breathed heavily. It's a low-quality divine weapon. Han Fei rolled his eyes and said, I heard you. What are you talking about? Let's see how much the final price is. A divine weapon was a treasure on the Scattered Stars Island. Up to now, Han Fei hadn't seen anyone casually take out a divine weapon. This thing was not something that could be bought just because you had the money. Wang Jiao said, the starting price of this rod is 2 million. Every bid must be no less than 10,000. Zhang Wen simply said, 5 million. Those who don't have money, don't compete. Let's increase the price on top of that. Shi Sanyue stood out and said, why don't we start with 8 million? What do you think? Han Fei looked at Zhang Xuanyu and patted his shoulder. We're brothers. I won't lie to you. It's just a low-quality divine weapon. I'll make one for you later. It's too expensive to buy one directly. Han Fei was rather dumbfounded. A divine weapon was so expensive? If he could make 2 daggers with the wind crystals, wouldn't it cost 7 or 8 million? Goodoo. Han Fei gulped. It was as if he could see the money rolling in his direction. Zhang Xuanyu looked at Han Fei in shock and said telepathically, wait a moment. Did you say that you can refine divine weapons? Han Fei slightly nodded. Then, Lu Rinquang's eyes were full of passion. Even Luo Xiaobai looked at him. Han Fei coughed. I need spiritual energy. 200 million points. I'll make one for you. Everyone. At this moment, the price had reached 16 million. Han Fei clicked his tongue. What a bunch of lunatics. Zhang Wen shouted, 18 million. Who dares to come? Han Fei said casually, 20 million. Zhang Xuanyu and the others looked at Han Fei in confusion. Can't you make one? Why are you bidding? Zhang Wen looked at Han Fei with an awful expression. Do you have so much money? Han Fei clicked his tongue and said, I have a lot of money. The question is, do you have so much money? Zhang Wen was so angry that he laughed. Are you kidding me? Money is the last thing I need. 21 million. Han Fei said, 22 million. Zhang Wen gnashed his teeth. 25 million. After a brief silence, Han Fei looked at Zhang Wen thoughtfully. You are indeed rich. I'm just raising the price to disgust you. Puff. Everybody was dumbfounded. The third update. Asking for votes. End of this chapter. Chapter 867. The auction was over, and the items had been delivered. However, one more thing was sent to them, which was naturally the big water buffalo that Mu Ling won at the auction. At this moment, Zhang Xuanyu and Luren Kuang were holding the big buffalo and studying it curiously. Luo Xiaobai, on the other hand, summoned the blue cannibal flower and extended some long tentacles from its roots into the demon spirit sea anemone. Very soon, the demon spirit sea anemone was sucked dry. As for the hollow nether fish, it might have been invisible in the water because it hadn't moved for a long time. Han Fei tried the eyes of true vision, but he couldn't see anything. He didn't sense any hollow nether fish in the water either. Only then did Han Fei determine the value of the hollow nether fish. But Han Fei asked in surprise, Xiaobai, I remember that you have an invisible jellyfish as a contractual spiritual beast. Luo Xiaobai said, I'll cancel the contract immediately. The invisible jellyfish doesn't work well. Luo Xiaobai said, for a manipulator, the hollow nether fish is even more valuable than a legendary contractual spiritual beast. At this moment, Luo Xiaobai simply signed a contractual spiritual beast on the spot. Han Fei remembered that Luo Xiaobai signed a contractual spiritual beast with a divine seaweed octopus when she was on the wall of seaweed. Luo Xiaobai always had high standards when it came to contractual spiritual beasts. About half an hour later, the hollow nether fish successfully became Luo Xiaobai's contractual spiritual beast. Zhang Xuanyu and Luren Kuang, on the other hand, had climbed onto the buffalo. At this moment, they were studying the two horns of the buffalo. Zhang Xuanyu said in a low voice, What do you think this horn is made of? If we knock it off and ask Han Fei to refine it, can it be used as a material for a divine weapon? Luren Kuang slightly shook his head. I don't think so. If it were a material for a divine weapon, how could it have been bought for only a few 100,000 high-quality pearls? Zhang Xuanyu said in a low voice, That does make sense. However, I don't think we bought anything. Luren Kuang said in disdain, We're poor and don't have much money. But it doesn't matter. Han Fei has plenty of money. Zhang Xuanyu nodded quickly, agreeing with Luren Kuang's words. Han Fei was lost for words. You too. Even if you want to trick me, can't you at least pretend? At least send a voice transmission. Zhang Xuanyu chuckled and jumped down from the water buffalo. I really can't understand this thing. It seemed like the material wasn't that good. The only mysterious thing is the messy lines and words on it. Han Fei stepped forward, stored the buffalo into Forge the Universe, and pushed the two of them. Let's go back to the Scattered Stars Island. He had to hurry back and cultivate. This time, the two of you are dragging me down. You were almost killed by your family. My lords, please wait a moment. Just as they were about to leave, a waiter stopped them. Han Fei frowned. What? The attendant said, My lords, since this is the first time you've come to the auction house of the Pearl Divers Port, according to our rules, you'll be entitled to a free box forever as long as you spend 1,000,000 high-quality pearls here. Zhang Xuanyu was speechless. What's the use of perpetual free private rooms for businessmen like you? Can it be eaten? Look at us. Do we look like we're short of 1,000 high-quality pearls? The attendant was rather embarrassed. He thought to himself, That's exactly how our auction house attracts big shots. Luo Xiaobai took the special card and glared at Zhang Xuanyu. Why are you so arrogant when you don't have any money? Of course, this was just a minor interlude. Han Fei's mind was not here. His mind had already flown to the twisted jungle, on the Scattered Stars Island. Hardly had Han Fei returned when he said to Luo Xiaobai and the others, You go ahead with your business. I'm in a hurry. Luo Xiaobai slightly nodded. Okay. Zhang Xuanyu asked, Fei, is it related to the underground city? Are you sure the news about the underground city is true? Han Fei said casually, Whether it's true or not, I need to find out more. Luren Kuang shouted, Not so fast. Wait for me. Don't call me anymore. I'm going to make a breakthrough. After the breakthrough, I'll go to the Wind Sky Canyon and get a pair of wings. Han Fei rolled his eyes and said, There's no rush. I'm afraid that you won't be able to help me if you don't collect all the sea tokens. After bidding farewell to Luo Xiaobai and the others, Han Fei flew directly to the twisted jungle. This time, he didn't bother with old Zhang's messy arrays. On the way, all kinds of poisonous plants and insects were crushed by Han Fei. Some tricky arrays that old Jiang set up were directly broken by Han Fei. At this time, who would still want to break his arrays? According to old Jiang's temper, every time he came, the arrays would only become more and more difficult. However, old Jiang didn't consider that Han Fei was not a man who played by common sense. Therefore, when Han Fei broke the arrays, old Bai was so angry that his beard almost flew up in the twisted jungle. Old Jiang cursed, "Brat, you're too impatient. It's just a cup of tea to break an array. Do you have to be so impatient?" Tengu raised his head in surprise and asked, "Senior, is Han Fei here?" Old Jiang said angrily, "Don't worry about it. Don't distract me." After a while, Han Fei rushed into the spiritual barrier and said, old man, big discovery. Sister Qin hasn't come back yet?" Old Jiang snorted heavily and said, "Get out of here later. Let's rearrange my array formation once more. See how many creatures you have crushed on the way here?" Han Fei ignored old Jiang, but glanced at Tengu in surprise. "Huh, Tengu, you're here too. Humph." With a heavy muffled snort, the air shook, and Tengu was shocked to immediately guard his mind. Han Fei wondered if his furnace was going to explode again. Han Fei muttered, "Let's talk later. You should focus on alchemy first. Alchemy is more dangerous than refining. The furnace will explode at any time." Old Jiang squinted at Han Fei. "Tell me, what's the matter that's worth you being so impatient? Is it because you snatched a wind god pearl?" Han Fei said in surprise. "Huh, how do you know?" Old Jiang said disdainfully, "How do I know that? How can Shao Qin not know that the wind god pearl has appeared? However, I heard that you seem to be very close to a little girl in the Empyrean waterfall. What happened?" Han Fei curled his lips and said, "That's impossible. Don't you know what kind of person I am? Do you have any kind of person?" Han Fei said gloomily, "Enough nonsense. I know the news about the boneyard." Suddenly, old Jiang's hand trembled slightly, and then he said solemnly, "Where? Shao Qin has been here for so long, and she hasn't found it. How did you find it?" Tengu pricked up his ears. "The boneyard? Where's that?" Han Fei said, "Old Jiang, have you ever heard of the underground city?" "Huh?" Old Jiang looked solemn, which was rare. "That's a sunken land. On the Scattered Stars Island, there is a legend. It is said that somewhere under this sea, an ancient city is buried. Back then, countless people almost turned over the millions of kilometers around the Scattered Stars Island in order to find this underground city, but they still couldn't find it. Boy, is your information accurate?" Han Fei nodded. "If there is no accident, it should be accurate." With that, a sea token appeared in each of Han Fei's hands. Seeing this, old Jiang's eyelids twitched. "Another one?" Old Jiang slowly stood up from the chair and paced back and forth on the open space. After a while, he said, "Go cook first. I'll call Shao Qin back." Han Fei was speechless. How can you ask me to cook when something important is happening? However, seeing that old Jiang seemed to be thinking about something, Han Fei didn't ask much, but approached Tengu and said, "What pill are you going to make this time? By the way, sister-in-law Mu Ling did me a favor 3 days ago. I won't thank her. You should thank her." Bam! The pill furnace exploded in an instant. A burst of black smoke came out and blackened Tang Ji's and Han Fei's faces. Tengu immediately glanced at old Jiang, only to find that the old man didn't seem to care at all. He was still pacing back and forth as if thinking about something. Han Fei secretly pulled Tengu up and walked to the kitchen, complaining, "Why do you keep blowing up the furnace? I'm still waiting for you to make pills for me." Tengu smiled helplessly. "The path of alchemy is difficult. It's extremely complicated. I'm barely a 2-star alchemist now. There's still a long way to go." Tengu suddenly said, "Where's the boneyard? And where is the underground city?" Han Fei was about to speak when old Jiang snorted and said, "Don't ask so many questions. Tengu, don't come here to make pills for a while and try to improve your strength. In addition, Han Fei, try to prepare some spiritual energy, healing spiritual fruits, and energy fruits as much as possible." Suddenly, the barrier shook. Jiang Qin's voice came. "Not only these, Han Fei, can you refine divine weapons now? Can you make a disposable divine weapon? Han Fei was stunned for a moment. Jiang Qin is back so soon? Han Fei was stunned for a moment and guessed that this underground city would be very dangerous. Otherwise, old Jiang and Jiang Qin wouldn't have paid so much attention to it. Han Fei asked, "Can I use a disposable, semi-divine weapon? I don't have any materials." Jiang Qin froze for a moment. Are there disposable, semi-divine weapons? Han Fei nodded. It depends on how you refine them. They should work. But disposable, semi-divine weapons don't seem to be very strong. Old Jiang said, "If there are no divine weapons, you can only use semi-divine weapons instead. There's nothing we can do about it." Han Fei couldn't help but stop what he was doing. "Old Jiang, Sister Qin, is this underground city so dangerous?" Jiang Qin nodded deeply. "It's more dangerous than what we described. I thought, forget it. Don't spread this news anymore. In the future, try to improve your strength as much as possible." Fourth update. To cheer everyone up, add more updates. Ask for monthly votes. In a few days at most, it will slowly enter the climax into this chapter. Chapter 868. At the dinner table. Qilu. Old Jiang took a sip of wine and said leisurely, "In a relic near the Scattered Stars Island, someone once found half of an ancient scroll. It said that in ancient times, the Scattered Stars Island was much larger than it is now. It said that there was a human city built here at that time. Maybe because of the war with the sea demons at that time were not like the half-mermaids and half-mermaids. Those sea demons were all real top experts who could move mountains and seas." Han Fei had an idea. Old Jiang might be talking about the powerful, intelligent race like the mermaid clan. But Han Fei also knew that there were not only mermaids, sea demons, and demonic plants in this world, but maybe there were also crab clans. Who knew? Old Jiang continued. Among the human beings at that time, it said that there was an unparalleled king who led humans and sea demons in an earth-shattering battle. In the end, the seabed collapsed, the earth fire surged, and the monstrous waves drowned the city. Later, for some reason, the sea demons retreated, and the remaining human beings built large boats and crossed the sea. But on the Scattered Stars Island, human beings and demons all left. It's impossible to know how human beings developed later. Tangu asked in surprise, "What king? An explorer-level expert?" Han Fei found it rather weird. From old Zhang's vague description, why was the city so similar to Atlantis Islands? Of course, Han Fei knew that it was just similar. The problem was that if the dungeon fell, it should be in the underground world. Han Fei also asked, "Is the underground city not underground?" Old Jiang sneered. "How can it be so simple? If it was really underground, it could be found by digging all the way down. Wouldn't it have been dug out by human beings a long time ago?" Old Jiang glanced at Tangu and Han Fei. "Let's talk about the king first. First of all, the king was not an explorer, but a super strong expert above the venerable. It said that the king's Dharma body protected the city. In order to prevent the city from completely collapsing, the king moved it to an unknown place." Tangu was surprised. Stronger than a venerable? Han Fei was surprised. Another unknown place? Han Fei and Tangu looked at old Jiang in astonishment. The old man snorted and said, "What again? Why do you think the Scattered Stars Island is called the unknown place? If there's only the Scattered Stars Island here, why don't we just call this place Scattered Stars Island?" Han Fei's eyes widened. Seriously? Could it be that the legendary underground city is the true origin of the unknown lands? Slurp. Old Jiang took another sip of the wine and nodded slightly. Of course, the Scattered Stars Island is just an island on the sea. With so many people here, there's nothing we don't know. The real unknown is that underground city. Jiang Qin continued. Han Fei, you said that you got the information from Clam Girl. Han Fei nodded quickly. Yes, that Clam Girl hunts pearl divers and seems to have been resurrected a long time ago. Fortunately, her strength has not recovered, and her resurrection is not complete. Otherwise, you might not be able to see me anymore. Tangu looked at Han Fei. Where did you go? Han Fei shook his head. Nothing. Just a sea of pearls. Tengu was briefly stunned. Is there such a dangerous place in the Sea of Pearls? Jiang Qin, however, glanced at Han Fei casually. You found the secrets of the quakes in the Sea of Pearls, the appearance of purple fire, and the disappearance of pearl divers? Han Fei nodded. Yes, it's an independent space. I learned the information about the underground city from her. Also, the clam girl said that there might be an entrance to the underground city in the Sea of Pearls, but I'm not sure. Old Jiang chuckled. She was probably lying to you. According to you, if the clam girl is an ancient being who has been resurrected, she should know the Sea of Pearls very well. How can she not know if there's an exit? Han Fei was lost for words. Then how are we going to find it? The Bowen Yard is in the underground city, which has been moved to the unknown place by a king-level expert. How are we going to find the unknown place? Jiang Qin said casually. That's not entirely impossible. Han Fei and Tengu both looked at Jiang Qin. Jiang Qin said, Do you know why the transverse mountain is strictly controlled? Nobody but the experts can enter it? Han Fei asked in surprise. Isn't it said that spirit awakening fluid can be mined there? Could it be this news is fake? Old Jiang said with a smile. It's true that spirit awakening fluid can be mined there, but do you know where the spirit awakening fluid comes from? Han Fei and Tang Ge looked at each other in bewilderment and tilted their heads at Old Jiang. Is it the underground city? Old Jiang snorted and said, Yes and no. Han Fei said, Hey, old man, can you stop beating around the bush? What is it? Say something we can understand. Old Jiang said angrily, What's a rush? There's a speculation that the spirit awakening fluid may be related to kings. Han Fei was stunned. Kings are so capable? Tengu scratched his head and said, Kings are so strong? Can they create spirit awakening fluid? Old Jiang said unhurriedly, Only experts who expand the sea can become kings. It's said that they can attract the Tao of nature on their own in that level. Have you ever wondered why the spirit awakening fluid turns into nothingness after you drink it? Han Fei's eyelids twitched crazily. Why? Old Jiang raised his head and sighed. Maybe it's not water at all, but a kind of law. How could such a profound mystery of heaven and earth be a pure liquid? Jiang Qin continued. So, there's a preliminary speculation. That is, the undersea smoke, the transverse mountain, and the spring under the old turtle in the Empyrean waterfall may all lead to the underground city. Tengu was dumbfounded. How can there be an old turtle in the Empyrean waterfall? Han Fei patted Tang Ji's shoulder and said, There's an old turtle under the water under the Empyrean waterfall. Tengu had mixed feelings. He didn't realize until today that the world was not as simple as he thought. Jiang Qin said, Apart from those places where the spirit awakening fluid is produced in the transverse mountain, the spirit awakening fluid is more like collecting it than excavating it. As she spoke, Jiang Qin looked at Old Jiang. Grandpa should know better about this. Old Jiang touched his beard and said unhurriedly, Hee, there's a bottomless pit in the transverse mountain, and the spirit awakening fluid automatically flies out from there and never stops. Of course, there's not that much of it. Han Fei was shocked. A bottomless pit? Tengu asked. Nobody has gone down to check it. Old Jiang snorted. I told you that it's a bottomless pit. Countless people have gone down to check it over the years, but no one has ever come out. You can't even fly in there, and you can only fall endlessly. Maybe the people who went in hundreds of years ago are still falling in there. Han Fei, Tengu, the two of them felt that they were listening to a heavenly book. This was the reason why other people were not allowed to enter the transverse mountain. It turned out that there was a strange place hidden there. Han Fei suddenly shivered and looked at Old Jiang. What about the old turtle under the Empyrean waterfall? What if we save the old tortoise and enter the spring under it? Old Jiang smiled at Han Fei. You don't know why the old turtle is there? Han Fei said aloud. I do. The Empyrean waterfall itself is an enormous seal of laws, and a large number of people need to break through the law enforcers there and erode the seal. But if you ask me, why go through all that trouble? The explorers can move the Empyrean waterfall and destroy the Scattered Stars Island. Fine. The Scattered Stars Island can't be destroyed. Tengu was dumbfounded. The Empyrean waterfall is a seal? Tengu found that he was a newbie now. He knew everything, but he didn't understand. Break through the law enforcers and erode the seal? What was that all about? Jiangqin shook her head slightly. So, it's not realistic to enter the Empyrean waterfall from the bottomless pit in a short time. We can't go in through the bottomless pit either. We won't even know where he went. Han Fei took a breath and said, "The undersea chimney is the only place left." Han Fei said affirmatively, "If nobody went there and came out, how could the sea-quelling painting be in the boneyard? How did the name boneyard come about?" Tengu gave up. He really didn't understand. Where did the sea-quelling painting come from? Jiangqi nodded. "Grandpa and I think so too. But the undersea chimney rarely appears. If we can't get there as soon as possible, the entrance will probably be sealed. It's even hard to say whether there is an entrance or not." Han Fei nodded. "Hey, Sister Qin, you're in charge of the pioneer group. Haven't you seen the undersea chimney?" Jiangqin said helplessly, "I have, but I didn't know that the boneyard was in the underground city, so I didn't think about it before. Didn't you just tell me today?" I rushed back immediately. Han Fei smiled awkwardly. "In any case, it's useless to be anxious now." "No." Jiangqin looked at Han Fei solemnly. "The undersea chimney might appear if it's said. If the undersea chimney is really the entrance, then you have to find a way to improve your strength." Old Jiang also said lightly, "There are not so many coincidences in this world. You are lucky to know about the underground city. Do you know that luck is sometimes a kind of destiny? Now that we have the news, it's only a matter of time before the underground city appears. You have to find a way to improve your strength." First update. Asking for votes. End of this chapter. Chapter 869. Hearing Jiangqin and Old Jiang's words, Han Fei immediately said, "That's not right. The 99 sea tokens are not all there. How can we get in?" Old Jiang, however, sneered. "Who told you that the sea tokens are keys?" Han Fei was briefly stunned. But even if the sea tokens are not keys, they must be related to finding the sea-quelling painting, right? And didn't they say that the sea-quelling painting collapsed and turned into 99 sea tokens? Huh. Old Jiang stared at Han Fei and said, "Who told you that there are 99 sea tokens? Who told you that the sea-quelling painting collapsed into sea tokens?" Han Fei thought to himself that old Han told him that, but it seemed that old Jiang and old Han didn't know each other at all. Han Fei immediately laughed and said, "The clam girl. The clam girl told me that." Hee hee. Old Jiang rolled his eyes at Han Fei. If she knew that, she wouldn't have stayed in the Sea of Pearls. Forget it. Just keep it to yourself. I can only say that the sea token is indeed a key, but it's not the key to enter the underground city, nor is it the key to enter the boneyard. Han Fei asked in confusion. "Then what's the key?" Old Jiang sneered. "Can't you figure it out? Of course it's the key to opening the sea-quelling painting." Han Fei was lost for words. Isn't the sea-quelling painting just a sea token? Why does it have to be opened? Old Jiang sneered. "Not exactly. The sea tokens are part of the sea-quelling painting, and the two are complete. So, it's not wrong to say that the sea tokens are keys." Han Fei took a deep breath and said after a long time, "So you mean that anyone can go to the underground city, but in order to open the sea-quelling painting, I have to collect all the sea tokens? But it's very difficult. I only have 2 sea tokens. God knows where the other sea tokens are." Jiangqin shook her head. "First, the undersea chimney is not necessarily the entrance. It's just our guess. Second, the sea token is probably a primer. When the first sea token is returned, the other sea tokens will be returned one after another. Third, have you ever thought that the underground city is a place where spirit awakening fluid can emerge? Do you want other people to go there first?" Han Fei shook his head. "It's better to keep the good stuff to yourself." Jiangqi nodded. "That's good. No matter from which perspective, the first to enter the underground city and touch the sea-quelling painting would certainly have some unexpected benefits. Although all this is just speculation, the news about the sea-quelling painting has already appeared, which is probably a revelation that the sea-quelling painting is about to appear again." Slurp. Old Jiang drank up the wine in the glass and said, "Everything in the world is predestined, or can be said to be fate. In the wheel of fate, the significance of a revelation was very important. If one could seize the initiative, they would gain boundless benefits. Also, the sea-quelling painting is related to the secret of the sea expansion realm. Instead of saying that you're fighting for it, it's better to say that many experts are fighting for it. You're like chess pieces in the hands of the experts, pieces that may smash the chessboard." Han Fei's face slightly changed. "A chess piece?" Old Jiang chuckled. "It may be too ruthless to call them pawns. Let's put it this way. There are no kings in the Thousand-Star City. Whoever can become a king is of great significance, at least for the big clans in the Thousand-Star City. Therefore, they began to bet that the chess pieces in their hands could obtain the mysteries of the painting and become kings." Han Fei remembered what old Han said. He had asked so many experts whether they could keep the sea-quelling painting even if they got it, but old Han didn't panic at all and said that it was fine. It turned out that old Han was also one of the chess pieces, and Han Fei was the chess piece. Han Fei was in a bad mood. His father used his son as a chess piece. No matter what his purpose was, and whether or not he wanted to become a king, he didn't feel good. Also, Han Fei looked at Tang Ge and then at Jiang Qin and couldn't help but ask, "Old man, I have 2 sea tokens now. Do I need to share one?" Old Jiang said unhurriedly, "It's up to you, but you'd better not. You got 2 sea tokens. No one can say for sure whether it was a coincidence or not. I can only say that the stakes on you are extremely heavy, and your karmic luck is extremely abundant. Could it be that you are willing to give this opportunity to someone else?" Han Fei sneered. "You're making it sound like I can't become a king without the sea-quelling painting." As he spoke, Han Fei looked at Tang Ge. Before Han Fei spoke, Tang Ge suddenly rose and grinned. "I won't take it. You'll be the one to become a king. I can't take away your luck." Tang Ge was no fool. It was definitely not a coincidence that Han Fei had 2 sea tokens, which meant that Han Fei was a man of great luck. Also, for Tang Ge, although he wanted to be stronger, he didn't want to do so by taking away his brother's opportunity. Also, old Jiang said that the experts were betting on him. If someone bet on him, he should have gotten a sea token. Since he didn't get one, no one bet on him. Old Jiang waved his hand and said, "There are benefits even if you don't give it away. For those who don't have a sea token, if you give one to them for no reason, they may be killed by you." Han Fei felt that his blood was freezing. "Is it really so unbelievable?" Old Jiang said unhurriedly. "Who knows? However, although they don't have a sea token, it doesn't mean they can't enter the underground city. If they can enter the underground city, there will also be endless opportunities. Chances are that they can find a greater opportunity than your sea-quelling painting. But in any case, you should improve your strength, as long as you don't become a law enforcer." Han Fei asked, "Can't we become a law enforcer?" Jiang Qin said, "Don't easily become a law enforcer. If you go the wrong way, it will be hard to turn back. It may even directly affect your future path, the path to becoming a king. Besides, I'm told that the sea-quelling painting is related to the path, so you can't become a law enforcer before you get the painting." Old Jiang sneered. "Do you really think that no one can become a law enforcer at the Empyrean Waterfall?" Han Fei's pupils constricted. Huh. Han Fei immediately thought of something. Everybody on the Empyrean Waterfall side was very strong. Any one of them could be very strong. Why did everyone want Jiuyin Ling to become a law enforcer? Because her path had been decided from the very beginning. She had to become a law enforcer if she could. But others might not. Those who didn't become law enforcers might not be sure of their direction. Thinking about it, Han Fei suddenly looked at old Jiang and said, "Grandpa, did you go the wrong way?" "Pooh." Old Jiang spat out all the peanuts he was chewing and scolded. "What do you mean my path is wrong? My path is right. I told you not to become a law enforcer because you may be clearer about your path in the process of searching for the secrets of the sea-quelling painting." Han Fei heaved a sigh of relief. "So that's the case. I thought you were all wrong." Old Jiang Qin couldn't help but smile. "It's not entirely wrong. After becoming a law enforcer, the law enforcers have vaguely chosen a path for themselves. So, Even if they get the sea-quelling painting, it won't be of much use. That's why Grandpa said to place a bet. Therefore, those who compete for the sea-quelling painting are at most hidden fishers, not law enforcers. Anyone above the hidden fisher level will die if they dare to snatch it. Old Jiang grunted and nodded. It's not that no one has ever competed for it before. The former marshal of the Scattered Stars Island, Han Guanshu, did it. That lunatic killed a lot of people at that time. But in the end, he was still beaten to a pulp by others. I don't know if he really died. Pooh! Cough, cough! Han Fei spat out. Old Han didn't tell him. The three of them looked at Han Fei in surprise, wondering why he was spitting out. Han Fei hurriedly said, "Oh, well, I was just thinking of the Thug Academy." Old Jiang, did the Thug Academy also compete for it and collapse in the end? Old Jiang snorted. Sort of. But the Thug Academy doesn't get along with those people from the Thousand Star City. That's not surprising. Got it, got it. Han Fei finally understood why the Thug Academy collapsed back then. It was a game of chess between the strong, but you just wanted to kill the players and take the luck for yourself. Who else would you kill if not them? And why did old Han snatch the sea-quelling painting back then? Was old Han not a law enforcer back then? That was impossible. If he wasn't a law enforcer, he could be slapped to death. He couldn't get involved in this matter. But no matter what the reason was, it seemed that old Han had a profound plan and was very good at arithmetic. If Han Fei hadn't gradually found clues, perhaps he wouldn't have known that he was a chess piece that had been placed with a heavy stake. Tang Gu, on the other hand, frowned and seemed to be thinking about something. After the meal, Han Fei left the plantation with Tang Gu without any hesitation. After they left the twisted jungle, Tang Gu suddenly asked, Han Fei, is there something you haven't told me? Han Fei was stunned for a moment and then grinned. Yes, it's not that we're strangers, but there are some things that I can't tell you for now. It seems that if I tell you too much, it will affect your luck. I don't know that, but you'll know. I'll tell you everything after the sea-quelling painting is over. Tang Gu smiled. Then I probably know. Okay, you can go back now. I'm going to see Mu Ling. Since I'm going to improve my strength, I'll have one more mission from the Scattered Stars First Unit. Han Fei nodded. Okay. The second chapter, asking for votes. End of this chapter. Chapter 870. Han Fei had only been out for a few days, so the people at the Empyrean Waterfall didn't care about him at all. Many people even greeted Han Fei. For example, Yu Shire invited Han Fei to have fish soup, and Yui said that some flowers bloomed in her house and asked Han Fei if he wanted to transplant 2 flowers there. However, when Han Fei looked at these people again, he felt that they were all law enforcers. There were so many people hidden here that they could be law enforcers, but they were looking for a way here. Han Fei had always thought that only Jiuyin Ling was a real super genius, so he became a law enforcer. Yi Qingfeng's house. Han Fei leaned against the door and said, Senior Yi, would you like some tea? Yi Qingfeng looked at the sky and said helplessly, It's already night. Do you want tea? You should be eating now. Han Fei chuckled. Well, I'm good at stir-frying centipedes. Let's try some. The 2 poisonous centipedes that Yi Qingfeng had been raising seemed to understand human language and shivered. Is he still a human? It's horrible. Drinking centipede poison is not enough. He even wants to eat centipedes. It's too cruel. Yi Qingfeng snorted and threw a small bottle to Han Fei. Don't come to me for a few days. I'm developing a new poison. Han Fei took the bottle and quickly said, Hey, don't worry. I have some poison god here. Do you want it? I can give you a small bottle. Yi Qingfeng glanced at Han Fei. You mean the thing that the little fatty of the Chow family made, right? Han Fei nodded quickly. Yes, yes, this poison is quite powerful. Yi Qingfeng said disdainfully. That little fatty is indeed talented in poison, but he didn't do anything serious. How can he be called a poison god when he's just a mixture of more than 300 kinds of poisons? Han Fei was stunned for a moment. More than 300 kinds? Not thousands? Yi Qingfeng sneered. What do you think poisons are? Can he study thousands of poisons? I've studied them. There are 308 poisons in total. Do you know why the poisoning effect is very strong after it enters the body? Han Fei wondered why. Yi Qingfeng sneered. The clash of toxins is unstable to begin with. Once it enters the body, it would be strange if it could recover. Forget it. What's the point of talking to you about this? That thing can be used against the enemy, but it's not the right path. Han Fei walked back slowly. So, Chao Chiu has been lying to me all the time? What the F***CK? Thousands of poisons were meticulously developed, but there were only 300 of them. Han Fei opened the small bottle and took a sip of the poison concocted by Yi Qingfeng. When he passed by Granny Yin's house, he felt that the heaven spirit detoxifying insect in his dantian flashed and upgraded. Yes, I'm already level 38. That's fast. During this time, Han Fei had taken a lot of poisons, and the level of the heaven spirit detoxifying insect had soared. Although he couldn't reach level 40 in half a month like Yi Qingfeng said, he wasn't far from it. If Han Fei's guess was right, it should be level 39 after drinking this bottle of poison. When it broke through level 40, he would throw a drop of poison god to it. If it didn't work, he would supplement it with spirit awakening fluid, and level 40 should be easy. Jiu Yinling's house was now completely empty. Han Fei didn't know where the girl was now. The Heavenly Water Village was not small. He hoped that she could figure out what true freedom was and not be deceived by that technique. At this moment, in front of Han Fei's old house by the cliff in the Heavenly Water Village, Jiu Yinling was taking a big sea clam out of the tank and staring at it in a daze. He found that these low-level fishers ate this, and that every day. Anyway, they were all very big eaters. And when Han Fei said he wanted to enter the secular world, did he mean to start by eating? After thinking for a while, Jiu Yinling asked softly, "How do I eat this?" "Emma, my lord, this is simple. Someone has already gone to buy daily necessities for you. There's a barbecue grill and spiritual fruits. Wait a moment. Someone will serve you." Although Han Fei had left, no one dared to touch his old house. Now everyone knew that Han Fei had gone to the unknown place. Although no news came back, the Thug Academy was still there. Nowadays, the Thug Academy was really the #1 academy in the Blue Sea town. Many people wanted to join it. The fish dragons relied on it. Now, Jiu Yinling's arrival shocked the entire Heavenly Water Village. The fish dragons sent people to serve her and didn't dare to neglect her at all. The people who spoke couldn't help but swallow when they thought of the scene when Jiu Yinling came. She was like a fairy who descended to the world. Her white clothes fluttered in the wind as if she didn't belong in this world. Jiu Yinling shook her head. "Teach me. I want to do it myself." Yes. If you want to do it yourself, I'll arrange someone to teach you." As they spoke, a fiery red figure jumped over. Judging from her aura, she had reached the level of a junior hanging fisher. The person who came was a girl wearing a fiery red suit. She was standing at the gate of Han Fei's small courtyard, a little timid. Jiu Yinling nodded slightly at her. "Junior hanging fisher, hello. What's your name?" He's Xiaoyu." Jiu Yinling nodded slightly and asked gently, "What can I do for you?" Xiaoyu heard that someone was coming from the sky and lived in Han Fei's house, so she came as soon as possible. However, she was shocked by the appearance and temperament of the woman in front of her. Xiaoyu said nervously, "Han Fei, didn't he come back?" Jiu Yinling shook her head slightly. "He's still in the unknown place." Xiaoyu was slightly disappointed, but then she asked, "Did something happen to him? Is that why you came here?" Jiu Yinling shook her head. "No, when I came, he had just become a hidden fisher." "A hidden fisher?" Xiaoyu opened her mouth slightly. Had Han Fei become a hidden fisher? The members of the fish dragons felt as if thunder had exploded in their heads. Good news, great news. Their leader had become a hidden fisher, so he must have wings to fly. He decided to brag about this news when he went back. As expected of their leader, she was so awesome. Hearing that Han Fei was fine, Xiaoyu was greatly relieved. Then she asked nervously, "Sister, what's your relationship with him?" Jiu Yinling knew what Xiaoyu meant, but she didn't care. "He helped me become a law enforcer and let me experience life." Xiaoyu was a little confused. "Law enforcer?" Jiu Yinling said gently, "It's the realm above hidden fisher. This barrier is very difficult. Without him, I couldn't have made a breakthrough in a short time." Xiaoyu subconsciously took a step back and looked at Jiu Yinling in shock. This woman was even stronger than a hidden fisher. The members of the fish dragons next to him were dumbfounded and swallowed their saliva frantically. They had to tell the gang that they couldn't neglect this immortal. No, they had to inform Master Gang to come back. Only Master Gang could take charge of this situation. Xiaoyu took a breath and said firmly, "Well, sister, can you tell me about his situation in the unknown place?" Jiuyin Ling smiled and said, "Okay. However, my name is Jiuyin Ling. You can call me Little Gio." At night, the stars were shining densely. Sitting on the roof of Han Fei's house, Jiuyin Ling looked at the moon and murmured, "What is he doing?" Suddenly, Jiuyin Ling clasped her hands. "Seal. Who is it?" At some point, another person was standing on the roof of Han Fei's house. The person was wearing a mask that didn't even show his mouth. The newcomer chuckled. "Jiuyin Ling?" Jiuyin Ling slightly frowned. "Who are you? Why did you seal your realm as a hidden fisher?" The newcomer smiled. "My name is Faceless. I'm from the Thug Academy. I heard that you want to dual cultivate with Han Fei." "Yes, but how can you prove your identity?" Senior Uncle Faceless chuckled. "Hee hee, not everyone can be with Han Fei. If you really want, come to a place with me." Of course, Han Fei didn't know what happened in the Heavenly Water Village. At this moment, he was staring at the strange water buffalo in a daze. He looked at the strange runes on the buffalo's body, and a shocking spell appeared in his mind. Law of gravity, incomplete, unrated, introduction. One of the laws of nature that can control the gravity of space and objects within a certain range. It can suppress a body of water with the patterns of laws. The range of suppression depends on the understanding of the laws and the strength of the caster. Deduced art. Unknown deduction cost. 0/500 million comprehension level. 5/100 Gudu. Han Fei swallowed. He knew that the buffalo might be extraordinary, but he didn't expect it to be so extraordinary. The patterns on its body were a law. What was it? A law enforcer had to comprehend the power of a law. Right now, there was one in front of him, and he had already comprehended 5% of it. He had only read it once just now. If he studied it again and again, wouldn't he be able to fully comprehend the law? Although it was incomplete, it was still a law. It meant that he could use the power of a law enforcer in advance. Hee hee. Such a thing is being auctioned for 600,000? The people at the Pearl Divers Port must be brainless. Han Fei didn't think that it was worth at least 60 million yuan just for the sake of the law of nature. No, this thing was priceless. It was truly a priceless treasure. Han Fei immediately stopped hesitating. Improving his strength was nothing compared to the law of gravity. If he learned it for a while, he would be able to become a law enforcer. It would be a great trump card. 3 days and 3 nights passed. Han Fei had been observing and drawing every law pattern on the water buffalo. The dozens of fish skins were filled to the brim. Big Yellow barked 3 times outside the door, but Han Fei ignored it. It was because he had reached a critical moment. He had comprehended 60% of the law. At this moment, Han Fei's hand was facing down and his palm was facing up. As he turned his hand, a blue stone was crushed into powder with a bang. All the bricks within a 10-meter radius were smashed and sunk into the ground. Han Fei took a deep breath and performed the law of gravity in the range where he was. Bam! Cough, cough. Han Fei staggered and almost lost his balance. His feet had already sunk into the ground. Intuitively, he could tell that the pressure on him was more than 500,000 kilograms. It wasn't heavy, but he hadn't fully comprehended it yet. The 3rd chapter, asking for tickets. The difficulty lies in the design of the story. Don't panic. Ask for tickets first into this chapter. Chapter 871. Ha ha ha. Han Fei was smirking. This was even better than the 9 Mansions Dragon Seal. If the enemy was caught unprepared, he could imagine the look of constipation on the enemy's face. However, it wasn't enough. There was still a long way to go before he fully grasped it. After he fully grasped it, Han Fei had no doubt that the law of gravity could give him millions of kilograms of force. 7 days passed. Han Fei's understanding of the law of gravity reached 90%. Sure enough, it's getting harder and harder. I've been stuck at the last 10% for a day. Meow. Han Fei, are you home? Han Fei thought for a moment. He hadn't shown up for 7 days. It was time to show up. Anyway, he hadn't fully grasped the incomplete law of gravity yet, so he might as well take a rest. Han Fei waved his hand, and the clouds dispersed. He saw Big Yellow and Qing Chun squatting on the wall of his house. Big Yellow asked, "Are you making breakfast?" Qing Chun nodded quickly and asked, "Are you?" Han Fei took a deep breath and said, "Yes. Come in." Meow. Qing Chun landed in the yard, only to find that the green stone floor of Han Fei's house had turned into a sand floor. There were even big pits in some places. Qing Chun asked in surprise, "Huh? Han Fei, is sand better than bricks in the yard?" Big Yellow, on the other hand, paced gracefully on the sand floor and raised his feet from time to time. "I don't like sand. It gets into my hair." Han Fei was speechless. "Do you know what level you are? Are you afraid of sand?" Han Fei took out the pot and seafood and said with a smile, "Nothing. I just want to change my taste. I've been cultivating in seclusion recently." Qing Chun asked in surprise, "What did you learn?" Han Fei pretended to be sad and said, "What do you think about the changes in gravity in this world? What about the unpredictable changes of 10 times the gravity and 100 times the gravity? How can you experience such changes?" Qing Chun looked at Han Fei as if he were an idiot. "Gravity? Why do you care about gravity? Why don't you just climb the Empyrean waterfall?" Han Fei asked in surprise. "What does climbing the mystic heaven waterfall have to do with gravity?" Qing Chun said with a smile, "Feel the surging tides of gravity. Don't be fooled by the waterfall. Different speeds, different rhythms, and different postures will give you a different feeling." "Meow, I want to eat big fish. Can you talk after you finish eating?" Han Fei was stunned by Qing Chen's words. Climbing the Empyrean waterfall would do. With that said, knife light flashed in Han Fei's hand, and a pot of hot pot was made. Qing Chun and Big Yellow were about to have dinner when Han Fei said, "You eat. I'm going to climb the Empyrean waterfall." Qing Chun cried out, "Don't. It's the same to climb after eating." Han Fei said without looking back, "I'm impatient. I can't wait." A moment later, Han Fei stood at the edge of the pool. Before he climbed up, a voice sounded in his head. "Do you have anything to trade?" Han Fei thought for a moment. "Senior, I don't have demonic stones anymore. Sigh, I'll think of something later." Hearing that Han Fei had nothing, the big turtle didn't even respond to him and just fell silent. Han Fei didn't care. He had the Phoenix Spirit Ginseng. However, it was impossible for him to exchange it with the old turtle so early in the morning. Even if he wanted to trade, he had to do it in the dead of night. With a thought, Han Fei unfolded the wings on his back and rushed into the waterfall with a swish. With a bang, Han Fei was smashed into the bottom of the waterfall. Han Fei couldn't help but feel embarrassed. He wondered if anyone saw him. The force of impact of a waterfall was related to the height of the waterfall, the flow of water, and the density of the water. In a situation where he was not used to it, he directly rushed into it without any support. It was only natural that he would be smashed into the pool. However, this was the only time. Han Fei pulled the stone and quickly jumped up against the waterfall. During the process, Han Fei sensed that incessant power was bombarding his body. Impact. However, it can also simulate gravity. Did I always think that gravity was the same after I performed the law of gravity? No, it has to change. Han Fei felt that it was heavy one moment and light the next. After all, the water flow was not always the same. The precipitation of the waterfall allowed Han Fei to roughly feel the slight changes in the impact. It was exactly because of these slight changes that it was difficult for people to adapt to easily and simply, making it difficult for them to grasp the amount of power. So that's how it is. It should be enough for me to comprehend the law of gravity to 95%. The corners of Han Fei's mouth curled up slightly. Qing Chun is quite knowledgeable. A casual remark from him was worth a whole day of hard thinking. However, it's not enough. There seems to be something missing. The imbalance of power is to make the enemy unable to adapt quickly. What about me? I'd better not be affected by this law. You could do that right now. Or is there something missing? Han Fei climbed all the way up. After a while, he finally climbed to the top of the waterfall. Han Fei had never paid attention to it before. At this moment, he was a little curious about where the water came from. However, when he reached the top of the waterfall, he found that there was another layer. It was a huge water outlet of a karst cave, and torrents of water gushed out of it with a crashing sound. Han Fei was shocked. Where does this cave lead to? How about it? Isn't it spectacular? The power of water is actually beyond our imagination. Although this torrent is not a monstrous wave or a big river, you can't cut it open with one strike. Qing Chun had finished eating and had already run over. Facing the violent torrent, he threw a punch, causing the torrent to fall back. Of course, what he faced next was naturally an even fiercer torrent. Qing Chun said, "The power of nature is very terrifying. The most terrifying thing is the unpredictable changes of nature. It's much easier to temper your body in this environment. Do you want to have a try? Unpredictable changes?" Han Fei froze and suddenly grinned. "Thanks, brother." Qing Chun. Han Fei rushed to the cliff of the Empyrean waterfall and jumped down from the sky. Before Han Fei fell, he heard Big Yellow shouting, "Don't fall down. Don't fall down. You're scaring the fish away." Han Fei, hula. The phantom glass wings spread out, raising 2 waves of wind. Han Fei drew a beautiful arc in the air and flew straight home. A moment later, clouds and mist enshrouded the place, and all sounds were blocked. Han Fei grinned. The most unpredictable change is that even you don't know how the gravity changes. In this way, the enemy can't adapt to it. Han Fei turned his hand, and a terrifying force fell, shaking the ground in an abnormal way. Han Fei closed his eyes. He had fully comprehended the incomplete law of gravity. Immediately, his face was full of smiles. This was the power that the law should have. Han Fei applied the law of gravity to himself, and his face immediately turned livid. Han Fei staggered, pulled by a messy force, and couldn't control his body at all. Han Fei hurried to restore the gravity to normal and felt it carefully. It was about 2 million kilograms, less than 3 million kilograms. This power was similar to his current physical strength. Sure enough, even I can't resist the power of vibration, because there's nowhere to resist it. Overlord's technique. Rumble. Just like that, the door of Han Fei's house collapsed. With a bang, the barrier that Han Fei set up was smashed by someone, and he was so scared that he immediately withdrew the law of gravity. For a moment, all kinds of voices were cursing. "Han Fei, look at what you've done. Han Fei, are you demolishing my house? Han Fei, stop. My house is about to collapse because of you. Meow, all my fish are running away." For a moment, dozens of voices fell into Han Fei's ears. Among them, there was a large vine that shot out from the void. There were even a few bright flowers hanging on it. It was Yui who was angry. The girl who had always been the most gentle in Han Fei's eyes was going to slap him with the vine. With a swish, Han Fei appeared 100 meters in the sky. Then he saw a crack on the ground in front of his house, which made him click his tongue. Han Fei quickly shouted, "It's a misunderstanding, a misunderstanding. I was in seclusion and didn't do a good job." Next door, Granny Een said leisurely, "You're responsible for repairing the road. Next time you do these dangerous things, find a place where no one is around to do them." Nangong Xian, who had been in seclusion, cursed, "None of the young people these days are easy to deal with. If this goes on, the Empyrean waterfall may collapse one day." Han Fei dare not speak. The big vine was still chasing him. Yui said angrily, "I destroyed half of my garden, and you still want to run away?" Bam! Han Fei's house was crushed to the ground by a vine, which made Han Fei's blood freeze. Hey, 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 don't get excited. You have to be a quiet, beautiful girl." Yui roared, "What do you mean by that?" All of a sudden, 10 big vines appeared in the sky. Seeing this, Han Fei immediately took out his fishing boat and swished away. This was because he saw an incomparably huge cat pouncing over from midair. After a moment. Chapter 872. Han Fei had planned to practice the cosmic sword technique for a while. Now, even Yui, who had a good temper, wanted to slap him to death. He couldn't cultivate in the Empyrean waterfall for a while. After wandering around, Han Fei didn't find Zhang Xuanyu. He said that the guy had gone to sea. As for Quang Quang, he decided not to look for him for now. This guy must be looking for a critical moment for a breakthrough. As for Little White, thinking of how solemn Little White was all the time, Han Fei thought to himself, forget it. No matter how he thought about it, he couldn't find anyone. Where should he go? Han Fei thought for a moment and felt that his strength had improved a lot recently. Although the cosmic sword hadn't recognized him as its master yet, he still had a lot of room for improvement. However, strength had to be honed. Maybe he should go to the Scattered Stars first unit and see if there were any quests for him. Han Fei thought about it and felt that it was a good idea. The Scattered Stars first unit had quests to explore treasure troves or something. If he could dig out a relic, it would be a great deal. Thinking about that, Han Fei swooshed around and flew straight to the Scattered Stars 7th unit. A moment later, before Han Fei landed, he happened to see Bei Hua flying over with Guan Qingyan and Mu Jia. Mu Jia waved her hand and shouted when she saw Han Fei, "Liar, this way, Han Fei." In the yard, Bei Hua looked at Han Fei weirdly and said thoughtfully, "Han Fei, you've been absent for a long time. According to your current Starways token, you still owe 1,082 supreme-grade spirit weapons for the task of refining. Now that you're back, come with me." Han Fei immediately sweated. "No, don't. I'm here for a quest from the Scattered Stars first unit." Bei Hua chuckled. "It's fine. I'll tell Yang Tian that your quests are empty. The 4th unit has been very busy recently. We have to refine divine weapons and a lot of ultra-quality spiritual weapons. You're fast. You can take the lead." Han Fei didn't feel good. "What do you mean I can take the lead? I'm here for quests." Han Fei immediately had an idea. "Hey, well, Senior Bei Hua, I've got something else to do." Han. Bei Hua put a hand on Han Fei's shoulder. "Let's go. Still want to run? You've been back for so many days, but you haven't even come back once. If you don't finish this refining task, how can you live up to your Starways tag?" Mu Jia snickered and made a face at Han Fei. Guan Qingyan said indifferently, "Brother Han, we've made a major breakthrough in refining divine weapons. According to Jia idea, we've cooperated with some array masters on the Scattered Stars Island and can produce some divine weapons in batches." Han Fei frowned. "What does it have to do with me?" Han Fei was dragged into the Scattered Stars 4th unit by Bei Hua before he entered the gate of the Scattered Stars first unit. This caused his entire face to droop. If he had known this would be the result, he wouldn't have come. Hardly had Han Fei entered the 4th unit when he found that strange lights were emitting from every refining room. The entire space of the 4 divisions was surging with heat waves. It seemed that it was indeed very busy. As for acquaintances, Xie Qingqing and Gu Nin were sitting in a corner of the refining hall. At this moment, the two of them were secretly talking about something. When Han Fei came in, the two of them were still groping. Both of them straightened their bodies when they saw that someone was here. Gu Nin said solemnly, "Qingqing, I think there's another way to increase the success rate of refining." Bei Hua was as gentle as before. He looked at them with a smile and said, "Gu Nin, have you finished your task?" Gu Nin hummed and said, "Boss, I'm just taking a break to relax." "Okay, I'm going to refine." Then Gu Nin greeted Han Fei and said, "Welcome back. You have a lot of tasks. Keep it up." Han Fei. Xie Qingqing, on the other hand, asked in surprise, "Han Fei, you're back? Do you know how many tasks you owe? We're the ones who are helping you out." "No, I'm going to take a break for a few days. You'll take over." Han Fei was rather scared. 1,000 ultra-quality spiritual weapons? Even if he refined 200 of them a day, it would still take him 5 days to refine them all. "No, I have to find a way to decline this task." Suddenly, Han Fei had an idea. Oh, Senior Bei Hua, I learned some weird arrays when I went to sea. I have a conjecture. Maybe we can easily forge semi-divine weapons without the help of array masters." Guan Qingyan suddenly looked at Han Fei. "Brother Han, what's your hypothesis?" Bei Hua asked curiously. "What is it?" "The solution that Jia proposed is already a major breakthrough. Are you sure there's a better idea than that?" Han Fei nodded quickly. "That's right. Since arrays can be refined as weapons, why don't we imprint the arrays on an independent forging mold? In such a way, as long as the materials are right, semi-divine weapons can be produced easily. Although they're standard weapons, they're still semi-divine weapons. Beihua asked in confusion, Huh? Your idea is quite similar to the refining divine platform on the sea demon side. Han Fei was shocked. Beihua knew about the refining divine platform. Shouldn't such a thing only exist in the 10,000 Demon Valley? How did Beihua and the others know about it? Beihua said, however, the arrays have to be carved very carefully. If you can really make them, you'll be able to get a 4-star refiner certificate immediately. You can even get a 5-star refiner certificate. Guan Qingyan nodded. Brother Han, I think it's a good idea. However, wouldn't that kind of formation be very complicated? Han Fei said with a smile. As I said, I've learned a lot of arrays in the outer sea. Maybe I can give it a try. Mu Jia narrowed her eyes and said, We're already 4-star refiners. Han Fei asked in shock. You? Mu Jia nodded quickly. Yes. Think about how long you've been in the outer sea. It would be a shame if we didn't become 4-star refiners after such a long time. Xia Qingqing, who wasn't far away, was helpless. Has it been a long time? Han Fei said with a dry smile. Well, I think I need to think about it for a couple of days. How about this? I'll spend a few days in seclusion in the 4th unit and put my idea into practice. Beihua was briefly stunned. It's not easy to turn down such a request. Xia Qingqing immediately shouted, Hey, where are the refining quests? Han Fei said solemnly, Sister Qingqing, there's no way to finish refining. Only by continuously forging ahead and painstakingly studying in the path of weapon refinement would one be able to carry forward the path of weapon refinement. Was a mere 1,000 or so supreme-grade spiritual weapons really that important? They're not important at all compared to a great conjecture. As he talked, Han Fei walked into the cave solemnly. Senior Beihua, I'll be in seclusion for a few days. Don't disturb me. Beihua thought for a moment and nodded. Okay, as long as you stay here and don't run away. Guan Qingyan said, Brother Han, I think we could discuss it. Han Fei hurried to stop him. Don't. I'm still sorting out my thoughts. If you want to discuss it, you can wait until I'm done. Han Fei finally found a refining workshop. After he crawled in, he sealed the door. Who? That scared me. You want me to refine weapons? No way. Well, I need to study the cosmic sword technique. What refining divine platform? The arrays on that thing could indeed be studied. In terms of arrays, the arrays for refining demonic weapons should be different from those for human beings. How could they be studied in a day or two? Even though he had learned the arrays in the spirit-gathering scripture, it was impossible to draw a refining divine platform that could be used to refine semi-divine weapons. That was definitely not an easy task. At least 100 arrays needed to be integrated and interconnected. For the interconnecting arrays, Han Fei could only draw a fusion array of a dozen arrays at the moment. The more arrays he fused, the more factors he needed to consider. The degree of difficulty increased exponentially. Of course, if Han Fei didn't draw the arrays himself, he could indeed fuse the arrays on the refining divine platform. However, he was not in a hurry. Old Jiang and Jiang Qin were both eager to improve his strength. At this moment, it would be a waste of time to study arrays. Therefore, Han Fei directly took out the cosmic sword instead of the refining divine platform. With a thought from Han Fei, a jade slip floated out of the cosmic sword, which was exactly the cosmic sword technique that Xu Shan had mentioned. After a while, information popped up in Han Fei's mind. Cosmic sword technique, heaven level, divine quality. Introduction. This is a powerful sword technique created by our ancestors that can borrow the momentum of heaven and earth. This sword technique is as domineering as a knife, and the sword technique can cut the sky and split the sea. It can only attack but not defend. The cultivator must have the momentum to move forward bravely. Deduced art. Unknown deduction cost. 0.50, 0.00, note. This sword technique is not perfect due to the lack of understanding of borrowing momentum. After reading the cosmic sword technique, Han Fei felt that this sword technique was more like a kind of knife technique, invincible and domineering. It was also like a boxing technique, fierce and unparalleled. But it was a sword technique? Han Fei frowned. He still had to learn it. He had dabbled in bout techniques, knife techniques, rod techniques, seal techniques, and boxing techniques, so he didn't need to practice his sword technique. How should he become a hidden fisher? Han Fei didn't have a clear idea yet. However, recently, he had been learning more and more combat skills, all of which were top-level combat skills. It was as if there was a mysterious force pushing him to do all of this. Could it be that my path is related to combat skills? No, I just happen to encounter these combat skills, and they're not difficult to learn. Well, it should have nothing to do with my path. I have to continue to find my path and learn combat skills. However, when Han Fei glanced at the cosmic sword, for some reason, he was a little reluctant to let this sword recognize him as its master. Chapter 873. The Chinquan sword technique strength was reflected in three aspects, namely, the creator of the cosmic sword technique didn't have a thorough understanding of the natural momentum of heaven and earth. Therefore, it was not good enough in this aspect. But for ordinary people, it was already a miraculous technique. Domineering. In fact, in terms of domineering, Han Fei had already understood the concept of the cosmic sword technique when he learned the sacrificing punch. Besides, he had the art of invincibility, so it was relatively easy for Han Fei. Speed. Another feature of the cosmic sword technique was speed, which was something that swordsmen always paid attention to. For example, Wu Ming's sword. Even if Han Fei performed the 64-dimensional fish dragon dance to the extreme, he couldn't be faster than his sword. For example, Zhang Xuanyu's momentary time. If it was the instant mystic spear, it would be fine, but if it was the momentary time, Han Fei felt that he wouldn't be able to dodge it. That spear even changed the law of time, and the range was extremely small, but it was still not something that he could keep up with his current speed. For example, Yi Baiyu's pure speed. That guy was publicly acknowledged to be the fastest among his peers. Han Fei had calculated that even with the Overlord's technique and the agility of wind of the Phantom Glass Wings, he would still be slightly slower than Yi Baiyu in terms of speed, unless the agility of wind could increase his speed by 5 times. Combining the above 3 points, what Han Fei actually lacked was speed. In terms of taking advantage of the momentum, Han Fei could now take advantage of the momentum of the wind. After all, the Phantom Glass Wings were not just for show. In 3 days, Han Fei had understood about 60% to 70% of the usage of the cosmic sword technique. It was not that Han Fei was fast, but because he had many combat skills. And no matter what combat skills, there would always be something in common. When a person dabbled in enough battle skills and was skilled enough, they would be able to quickly master any battle skill they obtained. Of course, mastery was mastery, mastery was mastery, and mastery was mastery. Han Fei thought that he was now at the level of mastery, which was slightly weaker than the level of mastery, but not too much. Phew, it's a pity that I can't practice in the refining room. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a problem for me to master it. If I can fight with Wu Ming often, my swordsmanship should be extraordinary. Han Fei was about to go out, but then he thought, no. He couldn't possibly say that he hadn't researched anything in the past few days, could he? If that happened, Beihua wouldn't know what to say. Han Fei took out the semi-divine, refining divine platform from Forge the Universe. Boom! The refining divine platform landed on the ground. Looking at the complicated carvings on the entire stone platform, Han Fei felt his blood freeze. Tisk, could it be that the Myriad Demon Valley also has a formation genius? Can they carve out such a complicated array? Han Fei took out a large pile of fish skins and began to study the refining divine platform that was nearly 4 meters long. 1 day later, yes, it was basically confirmed. There were at least 300 interconnected array formations on the artifact refining divine platform. What a genius! He actually used spirit refinement to mobilize the spiritual chi stored in the divine refining pedestal and urge the essence of the materials to fuse with each other. No, it's still lacking a bit. there's still a gravitational formation to compress the essence of the materials. Yes, there's also the micro-refining formation, which will refine the weapon a second time after it's formed. 2 days later, Han Fei disassembled more than 200 arrays of various sizes on the fish skins, and they were all numbered. No, it's still lacking a bit. I don't know some of the arrays, but I've come up with my own ideas and frameworks. But if the core array is missing, I won't be able to explain it. After thinking for a long time, arrays flashed through his mind one by one. Many arrays were disassembled in Han Fei's mind. Yes, in this step, the array to increase the pressure needs to penetrate naturally from a mold. I can't force it, but it seems to be replaceable. There's also this step, the second micro-refining. It's not real quenching, but just to make the materials more closely combined. To drain the residual spiritual energy in the weapon, I can carve multiple small spirit gathering arrays on the refining divine platform, which will then be used for pumping on the 6th day after Han Fei entered the refining room. The seal on the door was opened. As soon as he went out, Han Fei saw Guan Qingyan holding a fish skin map in one hand and a pen in the other, drawing something outside his refining room. Han Fei was shocked. "Hey, old Guan, are you trying to scare me? What are you doing here?" Seeing Han Fei come out, Guan Qingyan smiled stiffly. He put down the fish skin map and said, "I was waiting for you to sort out your thoughts. Since I have nothing to do, I decided to study arrays." Han Fei was lost for words. "I didn't run away. Do you have to sit at the door of the room?" Han Fei sighed. "The difficulty of this matter is beyond my imagination." Guan Qingyan's eyes slightly dimmed. It seems that there's no result. But then, Han Fei said, "I've been studying tirelessly for the past few days. Finally, with my unremitting efforts, I've come up with a reasonable and feasible solution." Guan Qingyan's aura fluctuated. "Didn't you just say that the difficulty was beyond your imagination? How come it's feasible now?" Guan Qingyan said, "Wait a moment. I'll call Senior Beihua and the others back." After that, Guan Qingyan said a few words to the token. After only half an hour, Mu Zhe, Beihua, the 5-star refiner Yu Su, and Li Yunfei, the leader of the refining hall in the central city, arrived together. Mu Jia said happily, "Where are they? Have you found anything? How about it? Is it feasible?" The big shots had all come. The people who were refining in the Scattered Stars 4th unit all walked out of their refining rooms, wondering what was going on today. Why would 2 5-star blacksmiths come here? A moment later, Han Fei was surrounded. Dozens of people appeared in the refining hall of the Scattered Stars 4th unit. Han Fei looked at these people in shock, and then at Guan Qingyan. He said helplessly, "Well, did you misunderstand me? I actually just had an idea, but I didn't say that I could make it." Beihua, on the other hand, said, "It's already commendable enough to have a perfect idea in refining. Besides, is this the idea of refining semi-divine weapons?" Li Yunfei also nodded casually. "Since you said that you had the idea of mass-producing semi-divine weapons, we had to come this time." Elder Yu Su smiled. "Han Fei, it's time for you to become a 4-star refiner. I brought you the certificate of a 4-star refiner. As long as the plan is feasible, this will be one of the rewards." Han Fei swallowed. He had underestimated a refiner's dedication to refining. He was not a qualified blacksmith, and he had never thought that he would be able to make a name for himself in the field of blacksmithing. But for others, especially these crafting maniacs, crafting was their life. Any conjecture was worthy of their great attention. Han Fei took a deep breath and said, "Everyone, please come and take a look." Leading everyone to the conference table in the refining hall, Han Fei took out nearly 300 fish skin drawings, as well as a strange cylindrical object with a strange shape and structure. Not only did Han Fei unhurriedly spread the fish skin drawings on the table, on the floor, and on the wall, he also hung a bunch of them. He said leisurely, "Everyone, Mu Jia, and Guan Qingyan proposed to refine the array into a part of the weapon. Only by combining them can semi-divine weapons be made. At present, this method has begun to work. However, the cost of this method is not simple. In particular, there was a huge demand for formations, and the standards of the refiners were also extremely high. If the arrays can't be completely replicated, the failure rate won't be low. Guan Qingyan nodded. Yes, the failure rate is very high, which is being improved. Bei Hua added, this is related to the refiner's level. Failure is inevitable. Han Fei smiled. Not necessarily. Semi-divine weapons are made of ultra-quality spiritual weapons, with a small amount of advanced materials, or with arrays. The key lies in the formation step. We are now refining the formation into a weapon. However, if we change our way of thinking, we can brand arrays on molds and imprint them on weapons through molds. In this way, there is no need for the refiner to study the formation and refine the formation. Elder Yusu frowned and said, that's true. Then, are all your diagrams formation diagrams used to make molds? Han Fei nodded. Yes. If we want to make molds, we have to explain the manufacturing principles. Han Fei continued. First of all, leaving aside the array imprints, semi-divine weapons are ultra-quality spiritual weapons, and there are too many people who can refine ultra-quality spiritual weapons. In this way, the two steps of spirit melting and spirit polishing can be completed manually. In the third step, spirit polishing, we have to give both the spirit polishing and the array imprints to molds. In this way, we have to make the molds have the ability to spirit polishing. Han Fei looked like a scientist and pulled out a fish skin drawing from time to time. Look, this is the step of spirit polishing. We've refined the essence of the materials artificially, and spirit polishing is to strengthen the fusion of the materials. With this spirit gathering array as the foundation and according to, well, it will take about 83 arrays to complete this step. Isn't it simple? Everyone, only a dozen people nodded, but none of them thought it was simple. Han Fei said, spirit polishing is simple, but the difficulty lies in the array imprints. Human beings have 5 major professions, and according to different professions, we have to give 5 different ways to fuse arrays. I've already drawn them here. However, I can only fuse a dozen arrays at most, which may not be enough. Look, we have to channel the spiritual energy into the weapon that is being tempered instead of the outside. Blah, blah, blah. This step is actually not bad, right? Everyone. Han Fei took a breath and said, the next step is the second tempering, which I call micro-tempering. Blah, blah, blah. Everyone. In the end, Han Fei pointed at the mold that he had drawn and said, this mold, after days of tireless, painstaking study and forgetting to eat and sleep, has finally been constructed under my unremitting efforts. Blah, blah. Guan Qingyan looked at Han Fei in a daze. Can't you say something else? In the end, Han Fei's perfect explanation, which lasted nearly half an hour. At least, he felt that it was perfect, with the divine refining platform right in front of him. If he still couldn't come up with a decent plan, he would be too incompetent. Under everyone's dumbfounded and confused gaze, Han Fei said leisurely, so, here's the thing. I've given the plan. Although some of the arrays in it still need to be solved, they are beyond my knowledge of arrays. I'll have to trouble you with this. Everyone was silent for a long time. Suddenly, someone said, well, Han Fei, I don't seem to understand. Can you repeat it? Chapter 874. Han Fei looked at the refiners in a daze. All the refiners looked at Han Fei in a daze. In the end, Yu Su said unhurriedly, there's no need to repeat it. Those who can understand it can understand it. Those who don't, it's useless to repeat it again. Han Fei's mold plan involves a lot of knowledge about arrays. It's hard for those who don't have a foundation in arrays to understand the combination of 300 arrays. Li Yunfei nodded too. That's right. However, Han Fei, there are a few problems in your plan. Han Fei grinned. He didn't need to repeat it. He immediately said, Senior, please go ahead. Li Yunfei said, in a stage of spirit polishing, the compression and absorption of the spiritual energy of the few arrays are not enough to condense the essence of the materials. Han Fei said, that's the key to the spirit polishing stage. My current arrays are not enough for me to take care of that, but someone else can. Li Yunfei nodded. It's indeed troublesome to fuse the arrays of the 5 professions. Aren't there too few arrays here? You've only fused defensive arrays. Han Fei said with a smile. Of course not. In my opinion, standard weapons can't meet the requirements of so many people. What we want is a balance. There are no obvious shortcomings in any aspect. That's enough. Li Yunfei nodded. Okay, I'll take care of it in person. Beihua asked, what's the purpose of the second polishing? Han Fei said, to make the characteristics of the semi-divine weapons more stable. This step is indispensable. Without it, it's impossible for the weapons to reach the level of semi-divine weapons. Beihua said, the technique seems simpler. Han Fei said, I can't draw anything that's too difficult. Mu Jiaer was stunned. I still don't understand. Guan Qingyan, on the other hand, had begun collecting Han Fei's fish skin drawings. It's quite logical. If we follow this idea, the success rate can almost reach 100% as long as the mold is completed. It's marvelous. In the end, Yusu laughed and said, it's a good idea. Although a lot of things need to be considered, there's no problem with the direction. It's worth a try. As he talked, Yusu threw the 4-star refiner certificate to Han Fei and said, Han Fei, you're already qualified to be a 4-star refiner based on this idea alone. Han Fei grinned. What about 5 stars? Yusu smiled. If you can forge this mold, I'll give you my 5-star tool refinement certificate right now. Han Fei waved his hand and said, forget it. I'd better wait a little longer. Han Fei thought to himself, it's just a divine weapon. I can already refine one now, but it's made with the demon purification pot. But my success rate with supreme-grade spiritual weapons is 100%. By logic, if it weren't for the demon purification pot, he would have been qualified to be a 5-star refiner. Yusu said, Han Fei, you should be a 4-star refiner, right? Besides that, what else do you want? Han Fei immediately said, while I'm away, I don't have to refine more than 1,000 ultra-quality spiritual weapons, do I? Immediately, Xie Qingqing and the others looked at Han Fei maliciously. This be *starred. Did he come up with this mold idea just to slack off? Yusu calculated for a moment. Yes, more than 1,000 ultra-quality spiritual weapons with sealed souls are worth at least 30 to 40 million points. I'll make the decision. You don't have to refine anymore. Han Fei said again, well, I'm short of money recently. It would be great if I could have 100,000 caddies of spiritual spring or something. Ha ha poo. Yusu lost his balance. Fortunately, Li Yunfei was there to support him. Otherwise, the old man wouldn't have fallen to the ground in fright. Beihua said quickly, Han Fei, spiritual spring is quite rare too. Forget it. 5 million points of credit. What do you want? You can buy it from the logistics division. Li Yunfei also said, that's right. Although your idea is not bad, you can have 100,000 caddies of spiritual spring if it's completed. But you haven't done it yet. Besides, you've just received a 4-star refiner certificate and canceled out a year's worth of tasks. Beihua has done his best to have 5 million points of credit. Han Fei secretly thought to himself, if you can build your own refining divine platform, it will be invaluable. Forget it. I'm not a petty person. I can have 5 million points of credit. That's enough. Han Fei suddenly remembered that he had given 5 million points of credit to Luren Quang. This guy had been collecting spiritual fruits for him. He wondered how the collection was going. Unfortunately, Luren Quang should be at the critical moment of a breakthrough. He wouldn't go to him. Anyway, he didn't lack anything for now. The reason why he asked Luren Quang to prepare so many spiritual fruits for him was naturally for the 6th level of the true spirit fishing art. Old Han had said that he could get the 6th level of the true spirit fishing art. According to the true spirit fishing art, the 6th level would probably require 1 billion points of spiritual energy, which was not bad. The 7th level would be a scam. Wouldn't it require 10 billion points of spiritual energy to deduce it? Han Fei felt a headache when he thought about it. Since he couldn't get the spiritual spring, Han Fei immediately said, well, that's my idea. Let's get back to work. I suddenly remembered that I have something to do at the Empyrean Waterfall. Beihua suddenly said, huh? Aren't you going to the Scattered Stars, 1st unit? Han Fei said with a smile, That was 6 days ago. It's all over now. Oh, Senior Beihua. When you see Senior Liang Tian, don't tell him that I've been here. I'm quite busy too. Guan Qingyan sighed. Hey, Brother Han. Han Fei said without looking back. Take a look at the drawing and study hard. Let's talk next time we meet. After Han Fei ran away, Beihua dismissed everybody and shook his head. That's Han Fei's idea. It's not about refining at all. However, this kid is smart enough to figure out such a complete set of molds out of thin air. His talent is not wasted. Li Yunfei said casually, it's a pity that we haven't been able to rob a refining divine platform from the 10,000 Demon Valley. Otherwise, sigh. However, isn't Han Fei's idea similar to the refining divine platform? Old Man Yu Su said indifferently. Their ultimate goal is definitely the same. However, because of the difference between human beings and sea demons, the intermediate links are definitely different. The 5 classes and different combinations of arrays are more complicated than the refining divine platform of sea demons. In the sky. Phew, I've finally escaped. I won't come back again. Well, I'll let them complain about me when I go back and forget about it. I'll have to fight with Wuming to improve my movement technique and sword technique. I'll have to find time to exchange some spirit awakening fluid from the big turtle. On the way to the Empyrean waterfall, Han Fei was about to take out some spiritual fruits to eat when he was stunned. Something seemed to have changed in Forge the Universe. Hiss, why has Forge the Universe become bigger? Han Fei was dumbfounded. Ever since the Seaborn Prairie in the Level 3 fishery, Han Fei hadn't deliberately expanded the space in Forge the Universe. But now, the space in Forge the Universe was almost twice as big as before. When did this happen? Han Fei didn't notice it before because he hadn't been to Forge the Universe recently. He only noticed it because he sensed that something was wrong. After Han Fei searched for the reason, he found, to his surprise, that the star shell had moved to the top of this space at some point. Huh, the star shell can increase the space and Forge the Universe? Don't I need spiritual energy to expand it? Han Fei tried to take out the star shell, only to find that he still couldn't take it out. That must be it. Those shells would create a space on their own after they died. Han Fei remembered that the star shell had a range of more than 20 kilometers. Could Forge the Universe be so big? Han Fei was delighted. If that was the case, he would be able to save spiritual energy. After all, the star shell was not as good as Forge the Universe. He couldn't wait for it to be fused with Forge the Universe. But the sea-swallowing seashell wouldn't do that. Could it be that the demon purification pot didn't care about the dozens of meters of space in the sea-swallowing seashell? That's possible. Little Calabash doesn't eat everything. At the Empyrean waterfall, when Han Fei returned, he found nobody at the periphery. Wuming wasn't sitting on the rock, Yu Shire wasn't drinking fish soup, Ning Jingyao wasn't sleeping on the roof, and Yu wasn't playing with the flowers. Huh, where are they? Han Fei spread out his senses, only to discover that everybody was gathered at his house. His house had been smashed apart by Yui's vine and was now in ruins. Nobody rebuilt it without him back. At this moment, surrounded by hundreds of people, Han Fei's first reaction was panic. Did they know that I was back? It was just a minor earthquake. Why did they stop me at my house? But then, Han Fei found that something was wrong. He saw that Du Jianglu was flying in the sky above the Empyrean waterfall with his head raised. There was a weird, twisted space around him. A law enforcer? Han Fei's face suddenly changed and became serious. Luckily, he came back in time, or he would have missed it. Swoosh! Han Fei landed, only to see that Yui, Ning Jingyao, and the others shushed him. Han Fei nodded, indicating that he wouldn't talk or do anything. In midair, the twisted power around Du Jianglu grew stronger and stronger. With the naked eye, Du Jiangliu's body was twisted like smoke. From his feet to his head, he looked like a monster. For an hour, no one spoke. Wang Dashuai and Bai Lu didn't even talk to Han Fei telepathically. All of a sudden, spiritual energy gathered, and a vast spring spread out from Du Jiangliu's body, turning into the most intense spiritual energy. The whole process lasted more than 5 minutes. During the process, Han Fei saw that spirit awakening fluid flew out of the lake and quickly entered Du Jiangliu's body. Bam! There was an explosion in the sky, as if a mysterious power had arrived. Chapter 875. Du Jiangliu became a law enforcer, which made a lot of people smile. However, Han Fei noticed that not many people were envious. Those who weren't at the Empyrean waterfall all congratulated him. Someone cupped his fists in midair. Congratulations on becoming a law enforcer. Brother Du, someone laughed. Brother Du, congratulations. Someone congratulated him and left quietly. On the other side of the Empyrean waterfall, Ning Jingyao, the original resident, roared, Old Du, why is your law enforcer so weird? Wu Ming's eyes were deep. I feel that you can block my sword. Yu Shire nodded. You're so awesome. I envy you. Li Luo said, Du, why don't you show it to us? What's the use of the twisted domain? However, Du Jiangliu's eyes fell on Han Fei. Han Fei is back. I became a law enforcer thanks to Han Fei and his brothers. Han Fei. Han Fei was stunned. Seeing that everybody was looking at him, he said in a daze, Wait, why is it me again? I haven't been here for days. Everybody looked at Han Fei curiously too, and Ning Jingyao said, Old Du, don't try to fool me. He just came back. How is it related to him? Yui added, Zhang Xuanyu's attack was rather interesting. It must have something to do with that, right? Du Jiangliu said, No, it was the earthquake caused by Han Fei. I was training in seclusion to perceive Zhang Xuanyu's momentary time. At the critical moment, an earthquake happened and shook my body. Finally, I found a way to crack the momentary time, which is to distort it. It's similar to Wu Ming's 300-meter sword domain. I can control the space within 1 meter of me. If you can't break the twisted domain, you can't kill me or even hit me. You can do that? Everybody looked at Han Fei again, who was still dumbfounded. Did I really make someone a law enforcer with an earthquake? Seeing the passion in Du Jiangliu's eyes, Han Fei said, Old Du, don't look at me like that. I'm not gay. Du Jiangliu. Everyone. Du Jiangliu roared. Come on, Han Fei, try hitting me as fast as you can. Han Fei was quite interested. Twisting domain? He could feel how powerful the so-called law enforcers were. Wu Ming said, You should have challenged me. Han Fei is not as fast as me. Han Fei immediately said angrily, Nonsense, I'm very fast. With that, Han Fei unfolded the phantom glass wings and activated the Overlord's technique. With a swish, he turned into a streak of light with the help of the wind. 2 long white marks were left in the sky. Wang Dashui smacked his lips. My junior brother is still very fast. White Du also nodded. Yes, the phantom glass wings and the secret technique are indeed very fast. Even Wu Ming was slightly stunned. Han Fei had never shown such speed before. Whoosh! A white mark appeared in the sky, like a line being drawn on a piece of paper. The white mark passed through the distorted space. As it turned out, Han Fei discovered that Du Jiangliu had twisted his body into an abnormal shape. His stomach twisted 1/2 meter in the air, easily dodging his own knife. Again, swish, swish, swish. Han Fei's figure changed again in the sky. Instantly, almost 10 shadows appeared around Du Jiangliu. With a flash, 7 or 8 strikes were unleashed at the same time. No matter how distorted your body is, you have to have a body, don't you? However, to Han Fei's surprise, Du Jiangliu was completely deformed like a shape-shifting monster. His head was twisted to his hands, his arms were twisted to his toes, and he looked like a piece of fish skin. Instantly, all the 8 attacks missed the target. Han Fei was dumbfounded too. Do you have to be so dramatic? Du Jiangliu laughed aloud. What else do you have? Show me. Han Fei flew around Du Jiangliu like a gust of wind. Suddenly, Han Fei extended his hand into the void, and a dragon roared. 9 Mansions Dragon Seal. A giant seal turned into a boulder and flew across the sky. In fact, Han Fei had secretly turned his hand and used the gravity domain. Bam! Du Jiangliu's twisted face was full of disdain at first, but in the next second, he fell into the lake with a splash. Han Fei chuckled and flew to the ruins of his house with a swish. Han Fei said casually, "It's not unbreakable. In order to break old Du's twisted domain, I'll have to launch a massive attack so that he has nowhere to twist." In fact, the twisted domain didn't change the shape of the body, but only the space around the body. It was the same as the time, and space around the sun would be twisted. Of course, Du Jiangliu's twisted domain was changing all the time. Therefore, the regular attacks might seem to have hit him, but they didn't. Han Fei's gravity domain, on the other hand, stabilized part of Du Jiangliu's domain and launched a full-scale attack in the domain. Therefore, the attack just now hit him. Everybody saw it clearly. Wu Ming nodded deeply too. "That's right. I don't think old Du could dodge 10,000 swords at the same time." Ning Jingyao nodded too. "Yes, I have an area battle technique too." Li Luoluo thought for a moment and asked, "Can you twist the vines and grasses away?" "Pooh!" Du Jianglu flew out of the lake in embarrassment. "Well, Han Fei, where did your gravity come from?" Han Fei shrugged and said, "It's the seal technique that I practice." Du Jiangliu's face was gloomy. "Why do you know everything? Who would learn so many battle techniques for no reason?" However, Du Jianglu said, 10,000 swords won't work. I can twist the sword auras away." Wu Ming suddenly extended 2 fingers. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Countless sword auras surged at Du Jianglu like a storm. However, Du Jianglu didn't move at all. Wu Ming's sword auras were twisted by the weird space and passed through various parts of Du Jiangliu's body without hitting him at all. It was not until this moment that everybody realized what was going on. Nangong Xian said, "Not bad. That's a good technique. Most physical attacks can't hit you." Just now, Han Fei's seal technique could only unleash invisible gravity. This invisible force is your nemesis. Du Jianglu nodded helplessly. "I've only just become a law enforcer, and somebody has already found my weakness?" He was rather sad when he thought about it. As for Han Fei, he had discovered something after the battle. Law enforcers were just limited laws. For example, Du Jianglu could twist the space in a 1-meter space. However, he could only control such a large area. In the face of gravity and various other forces, he couldn't twist it, nor could he. In contrast, Juin Ling Seal could seal the power of opponents of a lower level. Against opponents of the same level, she could only seal part of it. However, against experts, even the seal might not work. Having learned more about law enforcers, Han Fei was more confident. However, to be honest, he was envious of Han Fei. With Du Jiangliu's twisting laws, physical attacks couldn't hurt him at all. Wasn't that unbelievable? Of course, Han Fei had his own laws, and they weren't weak at all. At least, their range was much larger than Du Jiangliu's 1-meter space. Law enforcers couldn't be any better. Some were strong, and some were weak. It equaled a very advanced battle technique. Han Fei couldn't help but look at Wu Ming. This guy already had a 300-meter sword domain. What would he be like after he became a law enforcer? At this moment, the crowd dispersed. Yui looked at Han Fei and said, "Building a house? Do you want to get some potted plant for my house? I bought a new flower from the market yesterday. It's quite beautiful." Well, Han Fei smiled awkwardly. "Okay, wait until my house is built." At this moment, Li Luoluo, whose hair had turned blue at some point, appeared next to Han Fei. She looked at Han Fei unhurriedly and said, "Why don't we have a fight too? I think you might be able to help me become a law enforcer." Han Fei was amused. "How can it be so simple? It's just a coincidence." Li Luoluo snorted. "I was just joking. Okay, let's go. I don't want to help you build a house." Wu Ming, however, suddenly looked at Han Fei and said, "I feel that you are looking for me." Han Fei thought to himself, "You're right." Han Fei said, "Oh, it's nothing. It's just that I've been practicing a sword technique recently. How about I look for you to spar with me tomorrow?" Pooh! Cough, cough. Those who hadn't left looked at Han Fei speechlessly. "Why did you start practicing swordsmanship again?" Wu Ming was also taken aback. "You practice swordsmanship? How many days have you been practicing?" Han Fei chuckled. "A few days." Wu Ming was silent for a while. "Okay then. However, Han Fei, the more combat skills you have, the more difficult it will be for you to find your own path. When you become a law enforcer in the future, you will have to abandon a lot of them. Han Fei grinned. I know what I'm doing. After everyone left, Wang Dashui said, Little junior brother, Wu Ming is right. You are already a hidden fisher. It's time for you to consider becoming a law enforcer. You need to comprehend a path of your own. Han Fei couldn't help but ask curiously, Senior brother, what is your path? Wang Dashui smiled innocently. Unparalleled. Han Fei was stunned. What does it have to do with being invincible? Bai Lu curled her lips and said, He wants to be invincible, but he can't, can he? I'm thinking about the unparalleled path. Otherwise, I would have become a law enforcer long ago. By the way, little junior brother, do you want to come home for lunch? Han Fei smiled awkwardly and said, No, sister-in-law, I haven't cleaned up this mess yet. I have to build a house. Bai Lu nodded and said, Then let your senior brother help you here. Wang Dashui smiled innocently. Okay. Han Fei felt that Wang Dashui seemed to be very willing to help him. Han Fei immediately shouted, Ching Chun, Ching Chun. Suddenly, a big bird-like figure fell from the sky and landed on the ruins of Han Fei's house with a swish. Ching Chun chuckled. What's up? Han Fei said, I'm building a house and providing meals. Are you coming? Chapter 876. In the dead of night, Han Fei sneaked to the edge of the pool, although there was a high probability that he would have been discovered a long time ago. However, Han Fei didn't care. In any case, it was tacitly agreed that one could trade with the big turtle here. Besides, the two of them had become law enforcers in the past few days. The seal of the Empyrean waterfall should have weakened, right? As a hero, it was not a big deal for him to exchange for some spirit awakening fluid. Was it? Senior, I brought you something good. The big turtle's voice sounded in Han Fei's head. What? Phoenix spirit ginseng. With that said, Han Fei hung a sea-swallowing seashell on his fishing rod and threw it down. After a while, Han Fei fished up the sea-swallowing seashell again, and there were already 5,000 kilograms of spirit awakening fluid in it. Han Fei said, Senior, you know that I'm poor and don't have anything good. I'll exchange with you in the future. All right. The Phoenix Spirit Ginseng, as a spiritual ginseng much more advanced than the trivariant golden ginseng, could only be exchanged for 5,000 kilograms of spirit awakening fluid. Fortunately, he bought it cheap. If others knew that a Phoenix Spirit Ginseng could be exchanged for so much spirit awakening fluid, the consequences would be unimaginable. So, in the newly built yard, Han Fei sat cross-legged. 5,000 kilograms of spirit awakening fluid shouldn't be enough, but how much more did Lurin Quan get? Looking at the 5 million credit points on his waist tag, Han Fei felt that he should go to the logistics division tomorrow to exchange for some supplies. Han Fei gulped down the food, and the upper limit of his spiritual energy and the toughness of his body were slowly changing. A moment later, Han Fei looked at his new information. Owner Han Fei, level greater than 52, Junior Hidden Fisher, Spiritual Energy, 461-9667-25502, Spirit, 395/395 Perception, 31,999 meters Spiritual Heritage, Level 7, Low-Grade Spiritual Beast, Twin Yin-Yang Spirit Swallowing Fish, Level 46, Main Art, Divine Manipulation Technique, Level 5 of Void Fishing, Heaven Level, Divine Quality. Han Fei's face was full of bitterness. It seems that the effect of the Spirit Awakening fluid has been greatly reduced. 5,000 kilograms can't even raise the upper limit of 1,500 points of spiritual energy. Han Fei sighed slightly. At this rate, Han Fei suspected that even if he was given 100,000 caddies of Spirit Awakening fluid, he would only be able to become an advanced hidden fisher at most. After all, Han Fei clearly discovered that the effect of Spirit Awakening fluid would decrease as the strength of the user increased. Perhaps it might be better for others, but it was no longer an easy thing for him to improve. However, Han Fei was not discouraged. At least, the spirit awakening fluid was still useful to him. If he became a law enforcer, the spirit awakening fluid would probably be useless. With a thought, he appeared and forged the universe. He raised his head and looked at the star shell in the sky, feeling that forge the universe was much larger than before. However, it wasn't very obvious. It must be the space where forge the universe was slowly devouring the star shell. This should still require a process. Besides, forge the universe was more than enough for his own use. Han Fei didn't care how much bigger it was now. However, there were great benefits to being big. He could open up a plot of land for farming. He no longer had to worry about not having enough space to store things. As for the big red trunk, Han Fei was in a dilemma. This thing was no longer of any use to him. Even the tree core of the big red trunk was only a material for refining ultra-quality spiritual weapons. It was difficult for it to be refined into semi-divine weapons. But what if he attacked it? He couldn't. If he attacked it, wouldn't he be telling others that the big red trunk in a level 3 fishery was dug out by him? Also, Han Fei had abandoned the million knife art and replaced it with the infinity water. As a result, the big red trunk and the pile of ultra-quality materials he brought from the 10,000 Demon Valley were useless. Forget it. I'll just leave them here. They may be useful in the future. The next day, Han Fei went to the logistics division early in the morning. If Han Fei remembered correctly, a 6-star rank could exchange 100 level 2 soul crystals every month. Quang gave him less than 100, probably because he didn't have enough stars. As for Xiaobai, Han Fei estimated that she didn't have enough soul crystals either. However, Xiaobai was a manipulator and probably had a lot of demand for soul crystals. Even if she couldn't use them, she could probably save them in advance. However, Han Fei still planned to ask them to leave the resources that they couldn't use up to him at the next meeting. When he arrived at the logistics division, Han Fei asked telepathically, Quang, are you there? Seeing that the waist tag of the star didn't respond, Han Fei guessed that the guy had probably gone somewhere to cultivate. So, Han Fei went straight to the counter. Hello, I want to exchange 100 level 2 soul crystals. With that, Han Fei pushed the waist tag to the receptionist, only to hear the girl exclaim in surprise. 100? Han Fei nodded. Isn't the upper limit 100? The girl nodded and looked at Han Fei in shock. We need to register for the exchange of level 2 soul crystals. May I ask what your position is? Han Fei shook his head. I don't have a position. The girl asked again. Then may I ask which department you belong to? Or which position did you come from? We need records. Han Fei said, I used to be in the patrol team. Now I'm in the Empyrean Waterfall. Cough. The girl immediately widened her eyes and looked at Han Fei. The Empyrean Waterfall. The girl took a breath of relief. Okay, please wait a moment. The level 2 soul crystals you want will be delivered soon. Is there anything else you need? Han Fei thought for a moment and asked, Is there a way to increase my speed? Combat techniques and spiritual fruits are all fine. Huh? The girl was stunned for a moment and said, Well, there are speed-type combat techniques. The highest is heaven level, high quality. Do you need them? Han Fei said, Let me see. A moment later, Han Fei returned the exchange booklet to the girl. Is there any other way? The girl shook her head. At least I haven't seen any. Occasionally, some spiritual fruits have such an effect, but they're very rare. Also, it's said that the effect is not ideal. At this moment, the level 2 soul crystals were delivered. Han Fei put away the level 2 soul crystals and left. But after he left, the girl immediately said to the waist tag, Han Fei of the Empyrean Waterfall wants to exchange 100 level 2 soul crystals at once. His soul power may be far greater than that of ordinary people. Recorded. After leaving the logistics division, Han Fei looked back. He suddenly realized why people with 6 stars could go to sea on their own. Whether it was the logistics division, the refining hall, or other organizations, their main targets were hanging fishers and junior hidden fishers. At the 6-star rank, the number of items that could be exchanged from the logistics division would start to decrease. No matter how he thought about it, there were only a few special things, such as level 2 soul crystals, spirit awakening fluid, special spiritual fruits, top-level combat techniques, and so on. While Han Fei was daydreaming, suddenly, he heard someone shouting, "Attention, everyone! The sea demons are attacking the island in full force. Return to your positions." Sea demons are attacking the island in full force. Return to your positions. In an instant, the sky was full of fishing boats. The bustling West District was empty in the blink of an eye. This was the attitude of the Scattered Stars Island towards the enemy. Once a major event happened, everyone would be a soldier. At this moment, there was no such thing as a holiday. However, to Han Fei's surprise, it had been less than 5 months since the last time the sea demons attacked the island. The 10,000 Demon Valley had launched a full-scale war when they entered the demon forest. Was it launching another one now? Thinking of that, Han Fei immediately jumped on a fishing boat and went straight to the Empyrean Waterfall. It was true that the people of the Empyrean Waterfall were mostly exiled, but it didn't mean that the people of the Empyrean Waterfall had nothing to do but stay home and brag. Han Fei quickly returned. When he returned to the Empyrean Waterfall, he found that it was already empty. However, Big Yellow was running back and forth in midair. Meow. Seeing Han Fei, Big Yellow said, "They went to the East Coast to catch fish. I'll wait for you here." Han Fei was solemn. Another full-scale attack on the island. Even the Empyrean Waterfall was empty. However, Han Fei sensed that Du Jianglu hadn't left. Du Jianglu raised his head and looked at Han Fei. "I made a breakthrough. I have to stay here. Take Big Yellow with you." Han Fei nodded. "Big Yellow, get on the boat." Shwa, shwa, shwa. In the sky, the fishing boats moved like shuttles, and everybody was returning to their positions. It meant that the sea demons launched a surprise attack. The speed of the attack was so fast that the Scattered Stars Island didn't have time to react. On the East Coast, countless fishing boats landed in different places. Han Fei and Big Yellow stood on the fishing boat, dumbfounded. Han Fei asked, "Big Yellow, do you know where we should go?" Big Yellow said casually, "It doesn't matter. We can catch fish wherever we go. There are no restrictions." Han Fei was briefly stunned. "You can do that?" Big Yellow said lazily, "It's to catch fish. You can catch them anywhere. Just don't take me to catch bugs. I don't like bugs. I don't like bugs, especially those soft ones." Han Fei couldn't help but ask, "You've caught them before?" Big Yellow tilted his head and widened his eyes. "Of course. I'm very good at catching fish. However, I don't have to do anything at first. I won't take action until the people down there can't beat the sea demons." Han Fei realized that the hidden fishers and the law enforcers were here to stall the sea demon experts. However, it did make sense. A battle involving hidden fishers wouldn't be on the coast. Before Han Fei had time to think, a fishing boat suddenly stopped next to Han Fei. It was a rather charming beauty. She looked at Han Fei and said solemnly, "I'm Luo Yu from the Guild of Fishers. I need your help." Chapter 877. Han Fei didn't hesitate. Compared to sea demons, human beings were outnumbered. Seeing that Han Fei agreed, Luo Yu controlled the boat to fly to the sea. Han Fei followed her closely. After all, the hidden fishers were here to help fight. It didn't matter where they fought. After flying for about 500 kilometers, Han Fei saw an overwhelming number of fishing boats flying in the air. Countless advanced hanging fishers and peak-level hanging fishers cooperated with each other and hunted the slightly stronger creatures in midair. Here, Han Fei saw at least 50 hidden fishers flapping their wings and flying in midair. Some of them were fighting the sea demons that flew up on flying skateboards. Some are fighting other people on the surface of the sea, and some are fighting with fishing hooks like regular people. Because the sea demons were attacking the island, there were too many creatures. No matter how they fished, they could always catch one. If they didn't catch one, they would probably catch other creatures. It was the first time that Han Fei had seen the way people of the Guild of Fishers fought. They were all using hook techniques, and the fishing rod was their weapon. Han Fei saw a fiery fish that was caught in midair and cut into halves by the fishing line. He also saw someone cutting the surface of the sea crazily with dozens of long swords on their fishing hooks. He also saw someone stabbing the surface of the sea with their fishing hooks like swords. Every time they stabbed, a creature would be stabbed to death in the sea. Han Fei couldn't help but be surprised. That was quite an unusual way of fighting. He followed Luo Yu to the front. Luo Yu had no time to talk to Han Fei. She simply put away the boat, unfolded her wings, and charged at a sea demon in the sky. However, in terms of the number, the enemy had more sea demons than the human beings did. There were more than 40 sea demons on the human side. Some of them were fighting 2 enemies on their own. Han Fei even saw a guy fighting 3 enemies on his own. Also, from time to time, Han Fei saw half-mermaids in the sea demon realm flying over from afar and charging straight at this side of the sea. Han Fei glanced at Big Yellow. Big Yellow, can you do it without wings? Meow. Big Yellow raised its head proudly and said, I'm a tough cat. I have flying skills, but I can't take action right now. Big Yellow was a powerful creature at the law enforcer level. The ones fighting here were all hidden fishers for the time being, and there should be law enforcers on the other side. Han Fei scanned with his perception, and sure enough, more than 50 kilometers away, he found a half-mermaid standing on the surface of the sea, wearing a golden battle suit and holding a golden harpoon. It didn't attack, but just watched. Seeing that Han Fei didn't put away his fishing boat, someone shouted, Bro, come and help. Han Fei said to Big Yellow, Then I'll take back the boat. You can fly in the sky by yourself. Meow. Han Fei instantly put away the fishing boat and unfolded the phantom glass wings with a whoosh. When the phantom glass wings spread out, everyone in the sky, including the sea demons, was stunned. Who the hell is this? Why do the wings look like this? Han Fei. Phantom glass wings. Whoa, this guy's a ruthless person. Behind them, the hanging fishers who were fishing and killing enemies in the air all roared. This is a big shot. He's awesome. I didn't expect that this ruthless person would come to help the dangling fishers union. Luo Yu was also stunned. She didn't expect that the support she had randomly recruited turned out to be Han Fei. Needless to say, the moment Han Fei revealed the phantom glass wings, 3 sea demon realm experts had already charged at Han Fei. Han Fei judged that there were 2 junior sea demons and 1 intermediate sea demon. None of them used a golden harpoon, which meant that they weren't heavenly talents. At this moment, Han Fei grinned. Only 3? Are you looking down on me? Swish! In the sky, Han Fei moved like a phantom. When the 2 sides were dozens of meters apart, a huge scorpion phantom and a waterman punched at him. Swish! Han Fei's figure disappeared, and in the next second, he appeared behind one of the half-mermaids, leaving a streak of white light in the air. Puff! With 1 slash, the Sea Demon Realm expert was killed by Han Fei in the blink of an eye. Swish! 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 Han Fei's figure flickered in the air. His speed was so fast that of the remaining 2 sea demons, except for the intermediate Sea Demon Realm half-mermaid, it blocked Han Fei's 3 attacks. The other half-mermaid was also hacked apart by Han Fei in the blink of an eye. Ha! The remaining half-mermaid roared. This man is very dangerous. Come and help me. Understanding the sea demon's language, Han Fei sneered. Do you think I'll believe you? What do you think the phantom glass wings are? Swish! Swish! 2 wind blades were waved out, and Han Fei flashed again. At the same time, the void lines pinned the half-mermaid. All of a sudden, the half-mermaid felt that death was lurking in all directions. He didn't know where to run. Blood escape. F*CKU. Before the half-mermaid had time to escape, it had been pinned by the void lines. Puff! Han Fei swung his knife and cut this person down. It wasn't that Han Fei didn't want to control the half-mermaid, but that he couldn't expose his trump card, the void lines. If this half-mermaid became his subordinate, it would definitely attract a lot of people's attention. Han Fei grinned. Without the immortal seal or the sacrificing strike, I can kill as many of them as they come at me. Han Fei said this to the sea spirit in the distance. Han Fei was a bit tempted. He had made a lot of progress recently. If he activated the Overlord's technique, he could probably fight a sea spirit. After only 3 seconds, 3 Sea Demon Realm experts were killed. Luo Yu and the others were all stunned. Someone laughed. As expected of another freak who obtained a Wind God Pearl in the past 60 years. Stinky fish, you want to attack the Scattered Stars Island? In your dreams. Luo Yu quickly came back to herself. Be careful. Don't be distracted. Behind her, the people on the fishing boats were so excited to see Han Fei killing the sea demons that they almost wished they could fly and fight side by side with Han Fei. Someone roared, "Let's work harder. The more strong enemies we kill, the easier the battlefield will be." It was impossible for Han Fei to not attract the attention of the sea demons after he killed 3 of them in one attack. Then, 2 more people came at the same time. The 2 of them were equally strong. One was an advanced sea demon, and the other was a peak-level expert who was as strong as the captain. Moreover, the 2 of them were shining with gold, and both of them had semi-divine weapons. It meant that they still had the immortal seal and the dying strike. But so what? With a flash of green light, Han Fei put on the feather suit of wind. Without using the Overlord's technique, Han Fei and the advanced sea demon had already collided with each other with pure strength. Clang, the sound waves spread out, and Han Fei was flung back hundreds of meters. His arms were slightly sore. Sure enough, there's a huge gap between beginner and advanced sea demons, and the enemy didn't use the Sea King's secret technique. Han Fei estimated that the advanced sea demon's pure strength was about 1,000,000 kilograms higher than his. This number was not high, but it could only prove that he had much more potential than the sea demon. The half-mermaid, who was a peak-level sea demon, roared coldly, and a spear light flashed, piercing through the void in an instant. Air-breaking strike. With a swish, Han Fei flashed out, and even the afterimage left in the sky avoided the spear light. Swish, swish, buzz, clang, clang. After 2 flashes, Han Fei left 2 knife marks in the sky, and the spear light fell on the sea demon captain. Han Fei's pupils constricted. A semi-divine weapon had no advantage in weapons against a semi-divine weapon. However, Han Fei's speed was too fast, and the blood-drinking knife was too sharp. The sea demon captain was left with 2 knife marks by Han Fei. Humph! You're not strong enough. How dare you kill me? Human, you're courting death. Swish, swish. Han Fei's figure drifted all over the sky, making it impossible for the 2 sea demons to track Han Fei's position. The sea demon captain pointed his harpoon at the sky, and a round pillar of water rose to the sky, wrapping himself up. At this time, Han Fei happened to flash into the water pillar. "Oh, you're smart enough to know that I'm good at melee combat." Behind him, Luo Yu pushed one of the sea demons back and shouted, "Watch out. I'm here to help you." However, Han Fei, who was in the water pillar, was not affected at all. The feather suit of wind could even resist the wind and the primordial water. Why would it be scared of this little bit of water? Han Fei turned his palm, and the sea demon captain fell to the surface of the water. At that moment, the void lines had already latched onto his body. As soon as the 10 void lines were released, some messy pictures popped up in Han Fei's head. Some were the scenes of the 10,000 Demon Valley, and some are battles with human beings. However, Han Fei had no time to care about that. He waved his hand, and a huge wave rose to the sky, and the sea dragon roared. An enormous force fell from the sky and smashed the high-level sea demon that was stabbing at him with a harpoon. The Nine Mansions dragon roar can move mountains and intimidate souls. You think I can't smash you to death? Bam! The sea demon was also smashed to the ground by Han Fei's seal. Then, Han Fei used the draw technique and chopped off half of the sea demon's head. Swish! After another flash, Han Fei caught up to the sea demon captain and stabbed his dagger into his neck. Luo Yu, who was rushing over, was dumbfounded by the scene. Han Fei was clearly at a lower position just now. How did he kill 2 experts in the blink of an eye? They were not beginner sea demons, but an advanced one and a peak level one. However, Han Fei was suddenly stunned, as the sea demon captain didn't use his immortal seal. So, at this moment, he smashed at Han Fei with a terrifying force. Swish! 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 Han Fei flashed in the sky with the phantom glass wings. He pulled Luo Yu up and threw her aside. The dying strike failed to hit Han Fei and hit nothing. Han Fei, on the other hand, had reached the high-level sea demon that walked out of the sky. Humph. At this moment, Han Fei felt a strong pressure coming at him. In that instant, he activated the Overlord's tactics without a second thought. Ignoring the Sea Spirit expert, Han Fei pressed his hand on the Sea Demon's chest. The blood-drinking knife swept away the Sea Demon. At the same time, Han Fei blinked and appeared 100 meters away. Both the humans and the Sea Demons were shocked by this scene. Luo Yu's eyes widened. The Phantom Glass Wings? That's really impressive. The error-free chapters of Fishing God will be updated on Green Bean. There are no advertisements on this website. Please collect and recommend Green Bean. If you like Fishing God, please collect. Fishing God Green Bean updates the fastest.